write him a letter. I want to ask him a question. If he knew what was going on, the other day I was passing, I hear people complaining. He is the man with the answer, but he quite over yonder. They say, snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, and they biting hard. Snake in the Palisade. I'm sorry for Trinidad. In the country, man, they worse than Mafia. When they making the racket, they just dress up in nice jacket. Some big fat mackerel drink out the oil in the oil well. I don't know how they found the key, but I hear they empty the treasury. Snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, and they biting hard. Snake in the Palisade, destroying Trinidad. Question the hunters who does hunt down the squatters. They just cut down your hammock. They don't care if you sleep on rock. While them snakes in the country only pulling their belly. I want to ask what causing that, but I'm afraid they shoot off the hat. I'm telling you, snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, and they biting hard. Snake in the Palisade. I'm sorry for Trinidad. I hear in the rumor, the country in danger. Them snakes have no feelings, they just bite up anything. I hear they bite up the money and have the country in jeopardy. They bite up the pipeline, no water for the swine. I don't know what they would do next. They bite up a whole racing complex. Snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, snake in the Palisade, and they biting hard. Snake in the Palisade. I'm sorry for Trinidad. I'm there, I'm a hammer. Do I am, do I am, do I am.
Thank God the government changed. Because I spent my first 5 years as an elected official not being in an executive. And I know how much times we write letters. How much times we try to get something done and no response. But because the government changed, we could go up to Lansome now and we could see where a brand new road being constructed. And that brand new road is being constructed to open up farmlands so we can develop Tobago's very first organic farming community in the foothills of the Main Ridge Rainforest. That road construction is happening after meeting with the residents in Lansome, and it's happening only because the Tobago People's Party is in office. You drive a few meters from there and you look at the incomplete works at the now expanded Blue Food Ground. The contractor was remobilized to continue that work. Because by the time we get to next year, that same piece of facility will have a learning resource center so that the people between Lansome and Bloody Bay and even Palativere can go to smart classrooms and be taught, given skills. Because I want the young people from the most extreme part of Tobago to have access to the best quality education too. You are not behind God's back. PNM is the most anti-black party in the country. Don't be fooled. Let me be plain to you. They just walk around fooling poor black people, telling them this is a black party, and when they get in office, it's only the 1% that's benefit. Only people that don't look like me and you. And that is why in the past, we call the former Prime Minister a roast breadfruit. He black outside and the inside still white. And not even no good butter breadfruit. He not even yellow, inside white.
This is respectfully yours. Don't in a party, me and my baby, grooving and jamming, the music sees.
This is respectfully yours.
You should to say every night and day. I want to wave, I want to wine, I want to party with you. I want to love you right, yeah.
I now invite Assemblyman Farley Chavez Augustine, elected member for Palativere Lansome Speyside.
I, Farley Chavez Augustine, having been elected an assemblyman for Tobago, do solemnly affirm that I bear true faith and allegiance to Trinidad and Tobago, will uphold the Constitution and the law, and will conscientiously and impartially discharge the duties and responsibilities of assemblyman that I am now about to assume.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you back to your musical program on UNC USA. I have with me here Mr. Suman Singh, and as usual, our friends will join us later in on the program. Mr. Singh, we saw that the sky turned blue in Tobago.
Yes, yes.
And that 15-15, I tell you, that happened the last time. Somehow they found 4 votes and throw it in. But
Three.
but this time they couldn't make that hand. But I want to welcome you to the program, get your perspective on what you saw happening in Tobago today. Go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Right, Gary. Good night to all of you viewers and so on. Good to have you on board. Gary, I don't know if you know, I've lived over 20 years in Tobago. I was the first economist ever in the THA. I was the first senior project analyst in the THA. I was the first director of tourism in the THA. And I was also the first director of ICT, information technology, in Tobago. So I've lived a long time there. I know the politics, I know the economics, and the social structure of the island and the inhabitants as well. So you touch on a topic very dear to my heart, which is the Tobago. I was across there for the elections, I have my voting there. I still vote at Scarborough House. So was a nice moment, really in our electioneering, something similar to what we experienced in April the 28th. Although this time was the blue wave, total blue wash, as they're calling it, of the PNM. And I don't know if you know, but in the last time around, it was 14 seats to the TPP or the PNP as they combined at that time, was just one for the PNM. And that was
And
only
that at first it was 15-15, and that one they found
Yes.
4 votes and threw it in there. That's how they operate.
actually, yeah, it was 3 votes actually on a recount. You know, so that's history now. But you know, that election was very significant in January in 2022 because it started a trend which continued with the local government election winnings in Trinidad and followed it up by the general election last year. And now this 15-0 blue wash, as they call it. So PNM as a whole has lost 4 elections. So it is like a penniless rudder, as they say. So this is the status right now. There is a lot of optimism, a lot of sense of belongingness to Tobagonians. The Prime Minister went last week and inaugurated the new assembly. So in addition to all of that, Tobago, for the first time in its history, got the largest budget ever. And this was under the Kamla Prasad regime. So all in all, it augurs well for the people of Tobago. And the Prime Minister, I don't know if you listened to what the agenda is for the year 2026, and she promised to table the autonomy bill.
Yeah, in fact, they brought it in the parliament. They brought it in the parliament recently there.
Recently, but it is carded for this year to be fully operational so that Tobago can have lawmaking powers. What does that mean? You know, when you live on an island and in Tobago and people in Port of Spain make decisions for you, not knowing where the little town or village is, but they're making the decisions for you. Let's say you need sanitation pickup and someone is sitting in Port of Spain and saying, no, you don't need that. They don't know which part of Tobago needs the thing. And they just bluntly refuse. I mean, there's a recent, for the past couple of years, births and deaths, the Registered General Department in Tobago was non-functional. So if you had a death in the family or so, you have to literally wait a whole month and more sometimes. You have to make several trips to Trinidad, to get the death certificate so you can bury or cremate your loved one. That was total nonsense, total nonsense. Now, I saw under Dr. Bodo, they have instituted a live birth certificate so that you get a birth certificate basically in the hospital. Your birth is registered for newborns. That was a big plus happening there. And then the Registrar General Department, in conjunction with THA, they're establishing a sort of mini office of the Registrar General Department in Tobago, which you always had, but was, defunct. And they're setting up a legal secretary for legal affairs in Tobago to handle all Tobago matters. So a lot of things are happening in the island. And coincidentally, they brought a new boat to be traversing the waters between Trinidad and Tobago, a cargo boat, and it was, quite appropriately named the Blue Wave. So I guess all of these things happened at the right moment and time. So kudos to our, supporters in Tobago who have voted overwhelmingly for the TPP, and great things are promised. They have a budget to work with, the biggest budget ever. And as the Prime Minister said, and as the Chief Secretary said, all these departments are on a watch, a 9-month watch for implementation. So that is going to become one of the big issues, the implementation of projects in the island. So good times, in my opinion, are ahead for the people of Tobago and Trinidad as well. So that is the Tobago aspects. Funny thing though, since the election, I never heard anybody talking about the radar. That was a big, big issue in the election. But now, as the social media has it, even the radar can't find PNM, the supporters in the island now. So all these PNMites, the issue was the radar. But the radar is having a hard time trying to find PNM supporters in the island right now. But it all augurs well for the island, for both islands. Gary, there's something I need, we need to discuss further, generally. And I see some comments circulating in one of the newspapers that former PNM Minister Brown is suggesting we might be having some hard times in Trinidad and the Caribbean because of the fallout of this Maduro, Venezuela, U.S.
You saw I mentioned something. According to our Prime Minister, we wasn't doing no kind of business with Venezuela, so I don't see how that affects us there.
And to both, he was a Minister of Finance, so he should know better, but he needs to explain, to tell the population, what is it, and how are we going to be affected, unless you count in all the narco trade and all the illegal trade and the trading of guns and people and human trafficking. We may be lost, we may lose in those areas.
Exactly the point I was making.
So he can't tell me, and I am concerned, tell me in dollars and cents, how much trade we do with Venezuela per annum, and show me how is that going to be affected by the recent happenings. What is scaring these people? I don't know if you are aware. You see the one they call an election in Barbados now. Impromptu election next month. A lot of the, the Caribbean region, the CARICOM leaders and so on, who in my opinion were really close to Maduro in the narco trade, especially using the islands and using the various governments and paying off certain officials to get their, illicit trade going on. All of them are in hot waters now. And you see that as evidence in the restriction of passports, visas to the US, except Trinidad and Guyana. And I really want to say, naysayers and the press are not hearing anything in the press, my friend. Nothing in the press about this. That, oh, we are so lucky that the Prime Minister made the right call on this. I'm not hearing anything on this at all. Like, this is no news, But this is typical, very typical of the press in our country. Very one-sided and don't really highlight or investigate issues affecting the country. No investigative reporting. Could you imagine, as the Prime Minister said, over 350,000 people in Trinidad either have U.S. Rights to visit, passport, visas, and that's 25% of our population, man. Could you imagine you can no longer travel there as there are bans? Several of I think it was 10 Caribbean countries no longer have that privilege. someone in St. Lucia, I saw some correspondents saying that, oh, it's the Olympic, that's what I'm saying, the Olympic gold medal winner from St. Lucia in the 100 meters. She can no longer go she has to go to enter some races, some athletics or championship athletic meeting in the US, and she can't travel. She's from St. Lucia, and she was a gold medal winner in the Olympics. So could you imagine all these things because of the goodness and the good actions, I will say sensible decisions by the UNC government and the Honorable Prime Minister for taking the stand which it took, and got flacked from the other Caribbean leaders who called the so-called zone of peace and so on. Zone of peace, my ass. They were not affected by the amount of illegal guns and trading, illicit kidnapping, money laundering, and so on. What we were experiencing here, So to them, it was a zone of peace, and to ours, a horror era. That 10 years under PNM rule was a horror period for Trinidad. In fact, it was the worst period of governance for Twin Island. And I mean, I hear the Chief Secretary in Tobago mentioning the same thing, that they were punished over the past 10 years. And by whom? By one of their own. As they say, Awi, a Tobago boy himself, pressuring the people of Tobago and bringing both the islands into dispute. And, no longer Trinidad held any senior positions of anything. Everything was falling apart in the country. Every single ministry, every single statutory boards, everything was interfered with, various commissions, and what have you. So we are at our lowest point during those 10 years. And thank God the UNC came to the rescue, and we are beginning to see a lot of changes happening. And apparently, the PNM supporters or diehards, the politicians on their side, they can't seem to deal with it. They can't seem to deal with it. Just look at what has achieved in the ministries of health so far. Look at the Ministry of National Security and see 254 less deaths in 2025 versus 2024. Can you imagine? 254 deaths less than the previous year. That is, on those types of statistics, 42% less is unheard of in any country. So again, these things are not highlighted. None of these achievements.
Why would they? Why would they? Go ahead, Mr. Singh, go ahead.
Look at all the CDAP medication, the new CDAP medication and so on. No one is saying or complaining about drugs not available and that the medicine is not working and so on. They get new CDAP medication. The opening of the Children's Hospital. New systems and structures have been implemented and put in place. As you're seeing how many things that are broken and non-functional at the Northeast and the Mount Hope Hospital there, the North Central Health District under that regional. That region, So there's a lot of good things happening. There's national security, health, education in particular, dear to my heart, the laptop project. Children are getting new laptops, not only new laptop, but new AI-enabled laptops, which means that they basically have a teacher with them 24/7. So anytime you get stuck in a problem, any problem, mathematical problem, a physics problem, a little, problems in your studies and otherwise chemistry, bio, and what have you, natural science, you can just ask your teacher on help, which is on the AI in your laptop, to please can you explain this for me further? Or please can you help me, complete this sum I'm doing right now, this mathematical question, assist me in a step-by-step way to go on. So they have a teacher 24/7. And the biggest advantage of all of this is that, no matter where you live, no matter your social status, no matter how poor or rich you are, whatever your scale in the economic ladder is, you just have equal access to all the education material, the very best out there in the world right now. Is a level playing field, meaning whether you're in Charlottesville or Colonial in Tobago, or you're in Cedros or Guayguay in Trinidad, or you're in Port of Spain, all of you has equity, equal access to equal and the latest information at your fingertips. So that is indeed a grand achievement for the government thus far. Not to mention a lot of legislation and legislation changes that have been going on and taking place and so on. That is also strengthening the policy and governance framework. That is happening as well. We also look forward to the whole revitalization plan, the 128 projects planned. And I understand that there's some e-tendering of some of these projects that have already started. So again, that is also a big plus. We also see a lot happening in the energy sector. A lot of these drilling companies and so on, exploration companies are starting. One is coming down next month to restart. That is ExxonMobil. Then I understand Shell is also on the way with discussions and what have you. So a lot of positive things are happening all around. So in these past 7 or 8 months, and when compared to what the PNM did over the 10 years versus what was achieved in the past 8 months only, it's a question of, chalk and cheese. So one wonders, what can the PNM representatives talk about as far as achievements go? I see them in Parliament asking questions. They are asking questions. They want the Prime Minister to explain this, explain that, when they themselves never did any explanation to the public. So they are really truly fastened out of place, to ask these questions, even though these questions are explained to them and the answers are provided, yet they want explanation. So, to drill down the deep questions, like who are the contracts, what is signed, yet they were guilty of giving friends and family contracts without signatures. And they're asking the same questions. Who are the ones getting the contract, and why are you all doing this, and why are the people that were selected under the PNM, why are they not getting the contracts, and blah, 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 blah. Well, simple. You are no longer in governance. We'll manage the country our way. This is basically the response. So we see a lot of positive things are happening. A lot more needs to be done, and I guess in due course things will happen and the changes will come about for the betterment of all. So this is one of the things I see happening as well. I don't know if you're following up on the other areas. There last week, the Cold man, you know, the one who I think represents Portsmouth South.
Yeah,
The
go ahead.
bicycle and Bedford man, the Bedford and bicycle man. He is against the government trying to, you know, the government is planning to end the SOE at the end of this month. So, and they're planning to have these zones, these hot spots zones, and they have identified or in the process of identifying some of the main hotspots. And one common thread, Gary, if you notice one common thread in all of this, that all these hotspot zones are in PNM core areas. So Bedford man now is coming up with this his silly argument as in previous times. He's saying that this thing is going to stigmatize the people living in these areas. Well, I have news for you. Let the data shows. Hey, is it fact or fiction that your area is a crime-ridden area? Look at the deaths. Look at who is committing the crime. Look at the areas that they committed.
Since you govern that area, your party governed that area from initial, how is it that the place is in such a deterioration?
Correct. But this is a hotspot specifically.
Tell us why the
speaking
children have gone astray under your watch.
Right, correct. It starts from there. The schooling, thank God, the President PM has given the laptops to all his kids, so hopefully they can reform themselves over the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, you see, they viciously attacked the Prime Minister who was putting things in place, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they viciously attacked her, and people ran to vote for that. Rah, 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 rah. And he's taking away every good thing that was put in place for you. But rah, 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 rah. They're behind him and supporting him and jumping behind him. And he's supposed to be the greatest black man. And I don't know what being black had anything to do with it. But did you get a chance to listen to Defense Minister Wayne Sturge speech today about race in the...
Yes.
And the defense head of defense, as I always said, is an person of African descent. Majority of the police force of African descent. And you name it, most governmental businesses or security forces, you would have a majority. So where does the racism come from?
Well, I think he just showed there were 3 Indo-Chinese on that committee.
He just called them out.
Yes, and there were like the other 12 or 15 were all Afro-Chinese. So yet the PNM is trying to push this race card. And I tell you, I'm telling you this ever since the PNM always used this race card when they're in trouble. They always use this race card to bring and divide the people when they are in trouble, because they have nothing to speak about, no achievement. What is their claim to fame of the regime for the past 10 years under the PNM? Other than the Dragon gas, which we didn't get 1 cent out of so far. You know, yet we pump all our eggs in that one basket. So there were no returns. Thank God with this government, probably they have to seek some remedial action and get the support of the US to get the OPAC license, and probably later on down the road, we may see some, some real tangible benefits with oil and gas for the Dragon gas field, but under the PNM, we got nothing, zilch. So they try to pull this race card whenever they're in trouble, appealing to their core support base, and well, I think the core support base is
look at your screen
now.
Here is Dr. Munilal with Perenico.
Yes,
right?
yes. I saw
Okay,
this.
and
Last
you see, we them could have only seen Jagangas and Maduro, and they couldn't see nothing, anything that was. They killed everything. They killed the opportunity for everything else. All of a sudden,
everything.
change of government, and opportunities are popping up left, right, and center. It's just
Yeah,
going to take
even,
us a time to salvage everything together because of the damages they do and have done, right?
yes. So a lot of these exploration and drilling companies are willing to come back, and the government is providing incentives to, like, Shell has left and gone. Shell all of a sudden wants to come back. You know, ExxonMobil on the deep water drilling and exploration of the Northeast coast, they're willing to come back again. So a lot of internal land-based drilling with Trinity and Touchstone and all these other companies, Paramco now, you find a lot more drilling activities happening. So, one wonders whether the PNM regime was all about dragon gas and committed our country to such an extent that the only thing that we got was zilch, no monies, but we only had to pay out money. So there was only monies, payables, just payables, but no receivables. So we're in a real monkey pants with the PNM government. We had nothing to show at the end of 10 years. What are the returns of the investments which they made in the oil and gas sector?
Welcome, Ken. Ken
Yeah.
is on board here now.
Hi, good night. Good night, Gary. Good night, Sumaj.
Hey, Ken, welcome aboard. You're welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so I was just discussing all the benefits that were happening under the UNC to the people of Trinidad and Tobago over the past 8 months, starting with security and health and education, whatever was happening and is happening now to the energy sector as well. A lot of positive things happening, a lot of legislative work is happening as well. So, and here's it for the past 10 years. What is it that PNM had to show as an achievement or achievements during their tenure?
I just want to welcome Sabita Lochan, and somebody's using MWC47. I don't know what that means, but whatever identity they're using there. I want to welcome everyone that's listening to us.
Yes, welcome aboard.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes, right. So as I was mentioning, Ken and Gary, the achievements are many for the past 8 months that the UNC have been in office as compared to what the PNM achieved. And we'll also look at the blue wave, the blue wash they got in Tobago last week, Monday.
That's a strong message.
A strong message, and I would like that message to continue in Trinidad in the year 2030. That
So
message
make a
have
good point
to
there,
be.
and that's a very good point to continue.
And I look back in 2022 it started with 14-1, and then with lost again the local government elections, then they lost the general elections in last year, and now they blue washed 15-0. So they have lost 4 consecutive elections in Trinidad and Tobago. So I want this momentum, that 2022 momentum reflected in last year's success of the UNC. So that was a continuation of that. And now with the 15-0 blue wash, I hope that this blue washing goes a long way in 2030, and really wipe the PNM out of the map of Trinidad and Tobago, given to what they have done to the people over the past years.
So, Madan, you make a good point there. We want to continue that and build on that success, right? Because I think that, and this is just my personal opinion, we are seeing a change with this new generation. As I said, people have the world of information, real time, in the palm of their hands, right? You can't mama guy people with this
Correct.
whole propaganda politics anymore, right? But again, we have to continue to deliver, right? We're not here to mama guy people. We want to deliver real solutions, addressing real
Result.
problems that affecting real
Mm-hmm.
people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have
Correct.
100,000 persons who decided not to vote for the PNM or to vote for the UNC, right? And I think right
Correct.
there is something where we have to look at that carefully, seriously, and
Correct.
grow that,
Ab-
continue to inspire
absolutely,
that,
Ken.
and let
Yes.
people know, hey, you know what? Change is good. If you want
Yeah.
and you don't like what you see in the UNC, go back and vote for the PNM. That's no problem. You have
Correct.
nobody is entrapped here to, or or obligated to vote for the UNC, right? If we can't deliver, right? So the message
Yes.
should be pure and simple. Join the UNC and look at what we have to offer: XYZ, laptops, education, focusing on fighting crime and building a safer community for everyone, right?
Health.
So
You know,
yeah,
health.
and if you want
Health.
to piggyback on what you just said there, in the last 8 months, I mean, we have inherited a disaster, 10 years of failure, highest crime ever experienced in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, along with multiple failures, right? Failure to deliver infrastructure to address flooding, traffic congestion, you name it. You know, uh, confidence as it was at its lowest low. So that is what
Mm-hmm.
the UNC inherited, right? 10 years of chaos and decay. So to try to when you want to assess that 8 years, that is tremendous progress there, given what they have
8
inherited.
months. The 8
Yeah.
months, yes, since I come on board.
And we still have
Um,
a long way to go. We have 4+ years and a few months, right, to deliver.
and
So
they have
yeah,
to
I'm very
fix a lot.
optimistic. Oh yeah,
Yes.
and remember, I always say with this whole thing with Venezuela, I'm very optimistic moving forward. So I think that will also help and boost the Trinidad and Tobago economy. You know,
Well, if I may stick up in there, Ken, I
mm.
don't know if you know what Minister Brown said, that this will have, deteriorating
Bring me up to date,
impact
Samara.
on the
I didn't read the article, but bring me up to date. Update me on that.
This guy is saying that there will be a lot of fallout from the U.S. intervention in Venezuela for the Caribbean and TNT. No fallout and fallout. What bullshit I'm hearing? We will be
Who?
beneficiaries of this. We're
Yeah.
not going to suffer because of this.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening, happened between the U.S. and Venezuela. But
Right.
how is that his argument is going forward? There'll be lots, Trinidad and Tobago will suffer from this action.
So Sumad,
And
if you don't have anything,
as a former minister of finance, he was a minister of finance under the PNM, Mr. Brown.
right? So
Yeah.
again, here's my point. If he don't have anything of substance to support that, that's just noise. That's just PNM propaganda or whatever you want to call it.
Correct.
That's just
Correct, my
noise,
friend.
all noise.
Correct.
Bring some facts to support that. Give us a report, something. I've been speaking with some of the activists, close friend of mine, right? And in fact, I just, this was like an impromptu meeting, and I said, hey, are you available to join us? And she said, right now she's with family. But we have discussed, from her perspective, being a Venezuelan and so forth, right? She said, Ken, this is a God-given set for, where we have been liberated, the people, right?
Yes.
And she represents a
Yes.
lot of people in Trinidad, the migrants and so forth, right? And I want to bring her on the program to get her view, right? We could talk about the Venezuelan people, but to hear it from
But they will
someone there.
they are the best ones to talk about it
Correct.
themselves.
So at some
Yeah.
point down the road, we're going to have her on the show, and we're going to let her, give her the time to talk about what's happening there, the future outlook, and how they feel on the ground, right? The Venezuelan people, how the Venezuelan people who had to flee, how they feel to know that they're getting their country back, that they can go back there and enjoy the wealth and the oil wealth and stuff there and rebuild. Because I've seen some videos on YouTube where some of these oil fields were left abandoned, and the oil has been spilt, and it's an environmental disaster there also. So it's going to take
Yes, yeah,
billions, tens of billions of dollars to remediate and to rebuild there. And thank
Es-
God for the
Especially,
US.
yeah, especially in the Lake Maracaibo region, a lot of
Yes, correct.
oil spillage in the waters there. I don't know. And it basically is an environmental hazard. You let a match in the ocean, the whole damn ocean or the lake might blow up
Yeah, yeah.
with the amount of oil spillage
Some of
and
the pipelines are
circulating in
leaking.
the
Where you
water
tap the natural
around.
gas and so forth is leaking.
It's
So
it's an environmental disaster there
so
waiting to
we,
happen.
they're going to
So
require
I
tens
don't
of
know what.
billions.
Yes. Yeah. Now I don't know, as a former Minister of Finance, when he talks this pack of bullshit, if he's referring to his P&M friends who left the borders open so that the narco trade can continue, the kidnappings can continue, the illegal immigration can continue, and all the negativeness with or that happened under the PNM. If he's talking about that, then he's quite correct to say that we will suffer because we'll suffer in the form of trade.
Yeah.
But
So he being a former Minister of
meaningful,
Finance, he's probably talking about the informal economy that he's talking about. He need to specify that, right? He's
yeah,
probably
well,
alluding to the
tell me in
informal
dollars
economy.
I just want
tell
to say
me in the
welcome to
terms,
Troy and Nadira, and let me see who else is here. All right, go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
tell
so
me
he's
in
probably referring
dollars
to the
and
informal
cents.
economy. Because when you look at the PNM, the last 10 years, the borders were left open. Anybody could have been running in and out,
Deliberately,
sailing in and out of the country with tons
deliberately.
upon tons of drugs and cocaine. I think they like this stuff. Maybe their financiers are
Yes,
the ones who they are protecting and facilitating,
correct.
by leaving that border
Absolutely.
open, right? Because we have to
So
question why was it left,
yeah.
in this state of being unmanned or unmonitored for so long.
Man, they didn't have money to buy diesel for these patrol. The 16 fast patrol boats, the Coast Guard boats will have, tied up.
Yeah,
They didn't have the money to buy the diesel. That was always the excuse. And, that's such a lame
and
excuse.
and Samad, as a result, we saw the country started to degrade, right? Not saying anything
Oh,
bad against
yeah.
the Venezuelan
All
people,
rank.
right?
Yeah.
But they're here to work. They fleeing from political persecution and so forth, right? And I mean, they had to feed their families. So again, we welcome them, but also this has to be structured. Some of them come in to work hard and build themselves and survive, while others are bringing the drugs and the cocaine and the guns, and we saw that just
Yes.
flow. Decided to flow into the country. And look at what we're dealing with today now, a humongous problem as a result of the PNM, right? During their 10 years of failed, government, we saw 624 murders in 2024, right? Prior to that,
Yeah.
in 2022, 605. I mean, I might be off by a few there, but this is historic numbers we're dealing with, right? And if you are fighting crime, if you have a budget of $6 billion every year, that's your Ministry of National Security budget, and you're getting the worst results, something is wrong there, right? Something is terribly wrong there,
Yeah.
And this is why, I mean, Dr.
Absolutely.
Maharaj always say, we have to continue to pound these facts, right? Keep hitting it out of the ballpark, because again, the PNM will want to trivialize and they want to attack every single inch of success to pull you down because they're desperate. That Tobago blue wash there, 15-0. So they're like a wounded dog there, right? So they grasp at anything. This is why this former minister talking about the economy being impacted by Venezuela, the slowdown and so forth, and the chaos and stuff there. I mean, that's baseless. He has nothing to support that. Where's the facts to support that? Right? I mean, he should be ashamed of himself as a former minister to make a statement like that, as such, without being able to support it, without a report, without anything of
Correct.
substance. That's just noise, right?
Yeah.
Pure and all noise. You're rattling something in like a in a pan and it's just making noise, right? That's what he's making there. Again, they're going to do this. They're going to want to bring all this propaganda to persuade the population that, hey, you made a mistake, right? But they are the ones who are the biggest mistake and the biggest threat to the state that we've mentioned previously, right? They are a threat to the state. Somebody there? Hello? Somebody can hear me? Gary, you there? Hello?
What happened to Suman? He dropped out?
So I don't know. I don't know if he dropped out.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna join you
Let
guys
me
in a
just send
second.
him
You
a
can
message
continue.
here.
Yeah, you can
Let me just send him
continue
a message
talking.
here.
Continue talking. I'll catch you up in.
Yeah, so we had 10 years of decay, and to try to just turn that around is going to require some extensive work and time, and the progress achieved over that 8 months is tremendous. I mean, it's historic. You see crime drop, and we have the numbers to support it, right? Almost 42% drop from 624 to 300, and I believe it was 36 or 33 or something to that, somewhere around there, right? Um, really a significant drop there. So yeah, so a lot of work, but again, the UNC's putting their best foot forward, their best people, resources, etc., to turn it around, because it's going to require a lot after that 10-year period where the PNM sort of plundered the entire country.
Seeing I mean, the PNM continues to give away themselves, and they cannot explain to the fact how they spend our money and what. I mean, when you compare the performance of Mrs. Bisesa under the 2010-2015 period and the PNM for the last 10 years and see what she's doing again. I mean, people got to realize by now that I mean, what they want for themselves. I mean, do you want betterment? Don't you recognize, or haven't you recognized that what this prime minister was doing for you? I mean, that kind of demonstrated in the election there that some of them recognize.
The PNM is in a desperate position, Gary, and the typical political propaganda,
I
right?
mean, look at Stuart Young pushing this race thing consistently. He's one of those guys, that was playing that race card to benefit, and how much African people really benefited financially was Young and family, was Faris and
Yeah.
family, was Imbert and family, and you name it, so right. And I mean, I'm waiting to hear about the most. I'm waiting to hear about the most honest Indian in the country that's in the
Yes.
PNM. How much he and his family benefited.
I heard of informal
Yes,
contracts. I saw that in the newspaper today. One of the guys there was
yes,
former PNM minister. We're actually making informal contracts. Sorry, verbal contracts, right?
that's the
I know
guy.
there's a
That's the
procedure
guy here.
for that. Look, Gary just put it up there. So this guy,
Yeah, Faris.
close to $500 million in verbal contracts, Correct me if I'm wrong there. Look at
Friends
the
and
numbers right there,
family. Friends
right?
and family.
How could and this has to be investigated to the fullest, you know. Um, I mean, you have the Office of Procurement and so forth to go through, or you have different stages for different size of contracts, right? Who's authorized to do $1 million or 500,000, whatever it is, the PS or whatever, could sign off. How is it that these guys are just um, you know, sign make it verbal deals here? So bad?
Yes. There, yeah. You're right, Ken, and I share that opinion myself. But these people have to be prosecuted and brought to bear and made examples out of, because unless these things are done, then the population would feel, or the UNC will give the impression that all's okay. You know, so the people
Right.
have to be prosecuted and brought to bear, or explain to the people, the citizenry, why and how these decisions were made. They, you know, there are standardized things in the public service. All like example, a contract. What is a contract? It's a legal document that has a beginning date, an ending date. The person, the tenant, or who has a case, maybe whoever is going to implement it, and the cost
Yeah.
considerations involved. Basically 4 or 5 major
Yeah.
things. Major things, termination of the contract, should it be force majeure, and all these things comes into play. But basically 5 things, you know, as I said, repeated just now. And these things, at no point does it say that these arrangements and these contracts can be verbal. And, you know, this goes to a whole legal department procedure in every single ministry. The legal department of that ministry are the ones who proofreads these things. The permanent secretary, not the minister, it's the legal department heads who will go through the contract with a fine-teeth comb and make the alternative and requisite changes in the contract where there is ambiguity and so on, to bring clarity then, so that both sides understand exactly in layman's term what they're speaking about. So I know that that's for a fact. But if ministers are the one who are making the contracts, and the PSs and them are just rubber stamping these things, then the PSs and them are equally gullible.
Right.
And I
Correct.
always make the point from day one, why were these rules flouted? Again, why were these rules flouted when the PNM was there? So there's a lot of explanations to be made from both PSAs, ministers, board of directors, and so on. You know, why were they forced to buy tickets? In one case, entire board bought tickets for Balize House, you know, a party, and so on. Entire boards bought carnival tickets for the
Well,
other
that's something has to
directors.
be investigated too. The where that money came from, you know, and you know, a lot of people has to be accountable for that.
That is
Has
correct.
to be, the boards have
You
to
know,
be held
$500
responsible.
million is not a chump change. You know, that's $500 million there, right? And that has to be properly investigated.
At one
Right.
point, they say what they're running raffle. Raffle with who?
Yeah. I don't know,
Yeah,
so man.
you know,
A raffle.
yeah,
I mean to say,
yeah.
again, a poor excuse. I hope the general public
Sure.
don't buy that, right?
Well, they also sell bake and cake and tulum and Benny balls and, you know, all these other treats to build Balize House. But one wonders whether that is what was building it, or contractors who got contracts under the PNM, where they were forced to, to complete certain segments of these projects for the PNM. There are lots of things here. In fact, I don't know if you know the highway, Point Fortin highway project by the Mosquito Creek. They are still incomplete, after almost 13 or 14 years. Still
Yeah, part of the
incomplete.
highway collapsed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still incomplete. And where that was the project undertaken by the only good Indian in the PNM. He promised to have that done within 5 years. Yes,
And also, Samad, let me
yeah.
interject this. He also promised that flooding will be fixed in 5 years. Also, I think something to that effect on the news day.
In Port of Spain,
Yeah.
in Port of Spain only. In Port of Spain only. Yeah, it has gotten worse actually than being anywhere close to being fixed. It has gotten worse. I mean, half an hour rainfall in the hills, and you see flooding in Port of Spain, which is sunny and dry, and there's flooding in downtown.
Yep.
Yep.
So, and that, let me remind you also, that runoff is mixed with water from these sewer lines, this combined sewer system, right? We see that backing up on the streets there through the manhole. These manholes bubbling.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mix that runoff with that, it's a health hazard for the people who have to wade through those waters, right? Walk barefoot and stuff, trying to catch a bus. South Keys always flooded. I mean, when are we going to fix this?
Well, he promised in 5 years, and here is in 10 years, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So again, they just talk, PNM, that is their mantra. They talk a lot. They do this, they do that.
Propaganda, a lot of propaganda. They're using this whole political propaganda to fool people, right?
And to siphon monies, because monies are allocated for these projects year over year over year over year, and nothing has been done. So where did the money go? And that is my big question. Where did the money go? There was 40 million for this year, 200 million for the next year, and like that. But where did the money go? Where was it siphoned off? If it was siphoned off,
there's nothing to account for that.
I said,
nothing to account for it.
The biggest problem that has happened in Trinidad and Tobago is the role of the permanent secretaries and all of this. They are the head of the accounting unit. They're the ones who can tell you where the money went.
So
they're the one who authorizes payment. Every single ministry, the permanent secretary has to know every expenditure that has been made, because it has to go to cabinet.
Look at your screen there. Look at your screen.
Providence, Spencer, right? Yeah. That's the youth entrepreneurship program.
Right, and you could do a construction audit there. Very simple, right?
Yeah.
Get your quantity surveys, and you can easily audit that project.
That they will tell you, but some of these projects never really started, got off the ground properly.
So then, how could you have to account for the money spent, right?
That's what I'm saying, Ken. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these permanent secretaries, I have to be questioned. They should be the one in the firing line, as well as the ministers and their directors and advisors and what have you. Because
what
they do is they pass the buck. They pass the buck from the minister will say, that's not my responsibility. That's the ministry's responsibility. The permanent secretary, they are the one who spend the money, not me. And they have used that excuse to get, in the past, to avoid prosecution. Hey, I don't control The finances, the permanent secretary, the accounting department in the ministry does that. Why blame me? So they use that excuse in the past to get away. You know? So I think we should start making examples of all these people that have stole public funds. Stole public funds and account
And
for
I
it.
want something done in our first 5-year term.
It has you given them five. I want this done in 2 years' time to
No,
investigate
I mean,
these people.
but what I'm saying to you, under our first term on office, we must put things in place and bring those evidence in place strongly against these people. But I give credit to Saddam here standing up and continuing that investigation. I want to see a hell of a lot
Yes,
more of that.
a lot more. Quite right. That is what I want to see. A lot more investigations happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, Gary, a lot of these senior officials in these ministries are nearing retirement age. And once they retire and go out of the system, it becomes difficult now to press charges, and they say, they can't find the correspondence, the files go missing, and it all gamut of excuses. So now is the time to start a lot of investigation while they're still there. And if found guilty, they should not get their pension and gratuity. They should not. So,
Sumad, when you spend $1, right, you can see what you bought. So $500 million, we need to do a forensic audit there to see how this money was spent, what we have, right, for this
what
$500
was the
million.
return? What was the return,
correct,
man? Yes.
And if it was spent on a project, then you need to get the construction auditors, right? They are construction auditors who would come in.
QS.
Yeah. And they would know.
Again, PNM was spending the money like it's nobody damn business, It's like it's Eric Williams money they're spending. They're spending
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Their father, Eric Williams money, and nobody must ask no question. Nobody else.
Yeah,
Right?
we need to make an example out of that, as Suman said. We need to
Right. As I
make an
said, and
example.
Gary, you're quite right. The ministers were the one calling the shots, and the PSs had to follow. And not one of the PSs stood up and say, "Hey, minister, we are breaking the law." Not one of them stood up. So they have to be held accountable for it as well.
They are going to be implicated.
As well. Yeah.
In
Don't let the ministers go free as they did in the past. Say they were coerced to sign these as they will lose their job if they don't do it. This is what these things have to come out of these investigations, and let the thing be televised and so on. Let people speak out so future generations will know what the heck was going on under the PNM. Similarly, what is happening in the Caribbean with the whole US-Venezuela fiasco? Did we know before, let's say, before the last 8 months or so, what was going on in the Caribbean? Were we aware that a couple of these Caribbean leaders were in the back pocket of these drug traffickers, for example? And so on. They were saying that we were a region of peace, and they castigated our prime minister for taking the stand which he took.
That's right.
Now all of them are balling now with 10 of the islands.
Well,
citizens are not allowed for visa entry into the US anymore. In fact, in one case, Barbados, Mayor Motley is calling a snap election next month in February.
They made some poor choices there, right?
Yeah.
And again, the people have to suffer for it.
Yes. So, and we should be really thankful that the UNC did what they did for making the correct call. It was, as I said, a calculated risk, but the PM took that risk. And thank God that our 350 citizens can enter and go to the US as they please, go and come as they please.
They can travel freely back and forth, right?
Yes,
Without getting their visas affected, right? Like the other Caribbean countries, right?
yes.
And again, Sumad, let me just reiterate what you said there. The Prime Minister took a risk, right? And she understood the consequences, the backlash for the rest of the CARICOM, right? And
Hmm.
that was the reward there. You cannot weigh that reward. I mean, if Trinidad and Tobago, all 300,000 plus citizens were limited or were banned from entering the US, think about those who have to come to the US for medical attention and so forth, right? Who would come to get their cancer treatment and their all sorts of procedures and stuff, right? Think about that. That would
think
have been a
about
disaster.
think about our students who return home for the
Students
holidays
also,
and can't go
yeah,
back.
yeah. So yeah.
Man,
So thank God the PNM is not in government. That is the key point here. Thank God the PNM is not in
that
government
is it.
here. Or else we
Uh,
would have been number 76 on that list.
that's
Right?
right.
And
And
that
you
is a
know,
point. I want to say that again one more time here. Thank God the PNM is not in government, or else we, Trinidad and Tobago, would have been number 76 on that list. We would have made
yes,
76 out of 75.
absolutely,
Right? Out of the
absolutely, we
75, we
get
would have
you.
been 70. That list would have been revised up to 76.
Yeah,
You
instead
know.
of 10 Caribbean countries, we would have been 11th.
So again, you have to thank the people of Trinidad and Tobago have to thank the UNC government for making the right choices,
And you
right?
know, Ken, you know, that is never in the news. You know that, right? It's never in the news. No highlighting or explanation in the news. That is like, it just bypasses the whole media network and so on. Like that is a is not like that is not a major achievement. So you know, everybody seemed to have pip in their mouths concerning that major achievement. Major means major, eh?
That
Really
is
major.
major. That is major,
Yeah.
right?
And you have
And
to expect that from the PNM press and the PNM ministers and the ex-PNM ministers. This Mr. Brown said will have some serious repercussions for the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago going forward. But as you rightly said, apparently he's speaking about the informal economy. But in his speech, he had nothing about that. So,
yeah.
you know,
So what is he talking about? I mean, he's talking. So what is he talking about? He need to clarify. Is it the formal economy or the informal economy here?
he
Right?
didn't say that.
He's a former
He
finance
didn't,
minister. Or
yeah.
else he need to stop the
Say,
PNM propaganda and noise. Right? If you have nothing to support what you're saying, stay quiet because it's just noise. Right?
it's just
This is
noise
why
and more
when I talk
noise.
about crime, I like to refer to the 2024 624 murders and then 2022 605. Historic. We never
All,
seen
it,
those type of numbers, right? And
all
those
we have to
I
do,
believe that those numbers are going to stand testament of time for decades to come. I hope that we never see this type of numbers again. You know, it was a bloody year in 2024. People were dying the streets. Blood was flowing in the streets in Trinidad there. Every day you open up papers, murders upon murders upon murders, right? And the
is
government, the PNM government had an obligation, right? Being elected to safeguard the citizens, and they fail at that. And look at the progress, 8 months, you know,
and
murders
again,
down by 46%.
and you know, all these things have been downplayed, Ken, by the media. You know that this is no big deal. You know, and they were asking questions. Can I see it? What is UNC plan? What is UNC plans for the security of the islands? They kept on asking these type of foolish
The plan
questions.
is, let's go beyond
Look
the
at the
plan.
numbers. Look at the data, and you see the plan.
That's the point. Forget
Look
about the
at the
plan.
data.
Look at the results now. Forget
Yes,
about plan
look at
here.
the
I
data.
can't go in detail with plan here. Look at the results. And then you tell
Yes,
me if the plan is working.
yeah. You know, so we have to educate our population on data analysis, and so let them look at figures. You know, I always tell these people that looking at statistics is one thing, But
Ladies and
real
gentlemen, good
now,
afternoon. I'm in Mount Lambert, just
Check this
opposite
out.
the Mount Lambert community center. Two persons shot dead. Facebook marketplace. Apparently, they lured their victims somewhere wrong here, and police intercepted the criminals, and two shot dead. As you can see, ASP Sunil Barrett is on the scene right now. We are also on the scene reporting to you that two persons were just shot dead. I believe that this is the Tida and another vehicle. There's a next area there where they were in another part of on Gordon Street. That's where they were shot. Apparently, they escaped from here. So they were moving like in a convoy. We want to believe they were moving in a convoy and to lure their victims and bring them into this area. So ladies and gentlemen, again, marketplace arrangement goes sour this time, not for victim. It is not for the victim this time. It is for the bandits. This is Ian Allen. You're going to see more on Ian Allen Show this afternoon at 5:45. Thank you.
So rampant crime there,
yeah,
And again,
yeah.
it's not going to be a light switch solution there where you just flick a switch and this thing just turn around, right? We're going to take some time, but again, look at the performance. Just a few months in government and look at the performance. Let's look at the data. 46%
Always
reduction there. That's probably the fastest drop in history.
in any part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
again,
go
ahead, so man.
I think 46% people don't understand percentages very well. So you have to equate that in numbers, and that 46% translates to 254 less murders. So
Yeah.
people see it differently when you say 254
Yeah.
less
So man,
murders,
some people
because
in the PNM say that they never were able to pass O-level matter. So you have to
correct.
make
But
an exception. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So they can't understand percentages. When you say 46%, they will think that it's 46 people.
You gotta get an abacus. You know what an abacus is? How do you
Yeah,
count that out?
yeah.
So
So
to put it
you have
that
to,
way, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have to say it as in numbers, and numbers is exemplified in data. So people have to start understanding data and the numbers and what they mean before they start to understand what percentages mean.
Right.
You know?
But again, look, in the grand scheme of things, it reflects the success. It reflects
Yes.
the performance. It reflects the plan is working. What you have implemented there and how you restructure it and revise it is working. And there are numbers to support the success, right?
And they can't deal with this. The PNM can't
Yeah.
deal with this.
Well,
As I
all
was
they have is
mentioning.
propaganda
And they
and
can't even
noise.
comprehend. They cannot even comprehend what we're
Yeah.
talking about. What do you think it is?
But we have a lot more work to do, and we can't, take a breather. We have to continue to push forward and deliver again, right? As I keep saying, there's 100,000 persons who decided not to vote or vote for the UNC, and we have to
Mhm.
continue to build on that, right?
Correct.
Tobago came big. Tobago hit it out in the ballpark, right? 15-0, a blue wash. They
Yeah.
want to call it a blue wash, right? And we got to continue to put press and deliver that type of success also in
No.
Trinidad, where
Right.
the majority of the entire map should be yellow, right?
Well,
And
they-
but look, at the end of the day, we have to deliver for everyone, right? And inspire those voters who decided that the PNM had enough with the PNM, right? We have to deliver for everyone, and we have to also inspire them and say, hey, we are the party here when it comes to upward mobility in society. If you have been stagnant or your lifestyle or income has been dropping or you have no income, right, under the PNM for decades, right? Your MPs, your PNM MPs have failed to deliver, then it says a lot there, right? Change. You have to inspire people to change and tell them change is good. Again, if you don't like it, you could go back and vote for the PNM. No problem.
Well, the thing about it, Ken, is delivering for everyone is 100% support from my end, but we, the UNC, must govern the deliverance.
Correct.
Okay? UNC people, UNC staffing, UNC management, UNC in place, delivering. It's fine with me. Share for all, but UNC must govern the delivery. We must
They have
manage
to
the
be the
delivery.
Absolutely
We
correct.
must be
person.
in Chile. And now we are facing challenges in this world with all that geopolitics that's taking place. Um, where a war could break out on any side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to step up. We have to step up our food production in Trinidad and Tobago. We have to get serious with dealing with the agricultural industry, infrastructural issue, and move with haste. We must move swiftly to cause an ease of business and remove the unnecessary burdens on the backs of the farmers so they can focus on food production. We need our milk production is drastically down. In case there's a war, we need to go with mass milk production. We need to do everything possible to make sure that we can feed ourselves, feed our people, and even feed our Caribbean brothers and sisters.
And that is a good
Yes.
point, Gary. We need to cut the food import bill, right?
Yeah,
Why
but what I'm
we
saying to you, you
importing?
see all them things we were trying to deal with, all them
Yeah,
infrastructure issue that you volunteer yourself to assist and you give them the design and the offering the help to deal with those drainage issues. Those things must become priority and they must move swiftly to work with us on that.
that is correct. Or else it's spinning up in mud, right? The farmers in Sandy Grande, when I spoke to them, the biggest problem, the challenge here is flooding, right? And we discussed some of the issues. Um,
And can
you
they
know, I
not asking
suppose,
from us? They wasn't asking us. All they're asking to do these things, then I'm going to work. They just want us to
yeah,
fix those things, right?
yeah,
That's what they
yep,
told you. Go ahead.
yep. So
Well,
again,
yeah.
we have to get serious. When I get down there, I'm going to reach out to Minister Jaylene John and ask to talk to her drainage division, and we could do a site visit down there. And then I want to talk to Minister Amin of regional,
Yes.
Yeah, the local
Correct.
government
right?
minister. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, local government, right?
Yeah.
And
So
we'll talk about
I already spoke
the
to her about that, so she's awaiting your contact. Yeah.
so
And
we'll
some
reach
of
out to
the
them and talk to them about this and deliver
and
solutions, not just talk, real solutions. You know,
solution. That is what is
so
Yeah,
needed.
so I want us to pick up the pace on this and really address these things because all these stress that's taking place in Trinidad, while people go in and winding down the place and go happy like everything fine, if we in a blink of an eye, we could have an international crisis in the world where these countries have fallouts and we cannot get the goods that we need. So definitely need to step up our game and make a priority to deal with these issues, swiftly.
and
Uh,
also, Gary, I believe the Minister of Agriculture need to set goals, right? To cut that food import bill. There's stuff that we don't really need to be imported. We could grow it locally here. Look at Guyana; they're growing soybeans and stuff there, right? And they're going to start exporting. I think red beans also
mhm.
they're growing, and a whole, a new set of technology they're implementing down there. I mean, it is amazing to see what they're doing down there.
Guy,
I look at a
Ken,
video. I thought it was somewhere in Nebraska or something.
no, Ken, we used to grow red bean. My parents planted red bean and grow red bean here.
So why we need to import that so much when we could grow it down in Trinidad?
You could grow it. You could grow all these things. You could
Carrots. What are
grow
carrots?
peanuts, carrots, onions, and so on are grown in Barbados. Potatoes, Irish potatoes, and so on is grown in Barbados.
So
So
what we
you don't
need
have
to
to
do
read.
is to set
Mhm.
up a hit list, right, of these items and check it and say, hey, next year or next whatever, we are going to produce X amount of tons, and we're going to cut back on the import of this, right? And then we need to start promoting local.
And things like rice and milk and meat, milk production, cheese. You can make everything, man. You can cut back more than 60 or 70% of the things we import right now, grown here. From apples, there are tropical apples from Ethiopia.
Okay, we
Plants are
got
selling.
somebody in the chat asking about the registration for Venezuelan, and I think they could believe some things were done prematurely. And I saw one lady giving an advice to wait until the government tells you to move forward. because some people, some misinformation was posted out there, and some people jumped the gun. So what I'm saying to you is to wait until you hear from the various ministries, whether it's Homeland Security, addressing the Venezuelan registration issues. You should wait on the government and not follow no social media posts until you're confirmed that it's the government that's making that decision.
Absolutely, because there are a lot of fake news.
Yes, definitely. Venezuelans are our closest neighbor. We just want the right Venezuelans in our country. We don't want criminal activity. So I'm sure as long as you're not involved in criminal activity, the government will work with you. And, hopefully down the line, Venezuela could sort out its business there and we can get trade going back and forth, between Venezuela. I mean, we should have the biggest amount of trade with Venezuela because Venezuela is right a legal trade, not the drug
Legal
trade and the
trade, that
human
is what-
trafficking trade,
Legal-
and
legal.
contraband trade. But we should have some legal trade going. Venezuela is a very rich country, and definitely we can do some serious business if Venezuela were to get organized in a nice structured way. And I want to see things move forward with the Venezuelan people. Definitely. I mean, we have Venezuela, we have Guyana, we have Suriname. So these close, areas, the countries that is, next to us, definitely we want to see some things going strongly. But Trinidad and Tobago must move swiftly in organizing in the infrastructure to deal with the issues that farmers don't have, the unnecessary things that are very easily fixed. We have our civil engineer offering himself to assist us with the flood mitigation and how to quickly get this done. And we have a lot of engineers will join us if our help is accepted. But go ahead, gentlemen.
Yes, Gary,
Yes.
definitely. Look, Venezuela is very strategic, to us, right? We already have a large Venezuelan population. Some of them have settled. Some of they have kids, right, who are Trinidad and Tobago citizens. And at some point, that Hispanic community is going to expand, is going to grow, and we need to inspire that growth, right? Obviously, some of the Venezuelans will return to their homeland, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's Venezuela is their homeland, but they will have roots in Trinidad and Tobago also. So it's not that they're just going to pack up and go.
And then it's going to be a back and forth. That's like how
Correct.
we in the U.S. go back and forth to Trinidad. And I want to bring something to the people of Trinidad and Tobago to understand that you have a lot of Trinidadians who are immigrants. So you have to think about treating the Venezuelan immigrants in a very respectful way also.
And we're going to see a generation of Venezuelans there with Venezuelan roots, Trinidadians, Hispanic Trinidadians with Venezuelan roots. And they also will be, they will have a voice, right? And we have to listen to that voice. We have to respect them, right? And and offer them, equal opportunity, right? And this is why I wanted to bring my good friend, who is an activist, a Venezuelan activist. Her name is Sofia Leon Figaro, something like that. I think I can mix up the last name there. But
All right.
we want to hear.
Yeah, we will definitely do something and give them a chance to say, about their life and give us a
From their
bring their story
perspective. From their
forward.
perspective.
Yeah.
I could sit down here and talk a whole lot of stuff that I read on social media and stuff, but to hear, the Venezuelan people talk about their experiences and their struggles and the political persecution and stuff that they were fleeing from, right? I mean, I wasn't there to see that, but to hear it from those people who experienced that is two different
Yes.
conversations.
Remember
Right.
back in the 80s, I think Venezuela was a priority country to go to.
It was like a first world country.
Yep.
They
The
had
same-
ministries and
the-
stuff there.
The same thing was Iran as well. Iran
Correct.
was the go-to country, and Lebanon as well. Lebanon used to be the Switzerland of the Middle East.
Yeah.
And these things are
When that 1979 Islamic revolution changed the dynamics there drastically, removing the Shah of Iran and causing
That
so much
is-
problems.
that was in
And-
1988, Gary.
Yeah, what I'm saying, it started in 79 back there.
The Shah of Iran, yes, when the Shah
yeah.
was deposed and so on.
But the Middle East
issue is a very complex thing, and in order to resolve this, we need there cannot be bias on one side. I mean, what has taken place? There's something it's a very ugly thing, and it's a lot of prejudice, and it has to be straightened out, and it cannot be straightened out resolved by being biased to one side or the other. There has
Correct.
to be, that is another, another thing to
That's a
talk
whole
about
different
at another
topic.
time. Yeah. I have seen enough to form my opinion, and
I
there's too much,
myself, yeah.
and there's too much hypocrisy on that end there. But coming back to, our region, there has to be, and we want to focus more on Trinidad and Tobago right now, in that we need to work in speeding up things because
But
the world is on an unstable place right
right,
now.
we need to work to build back our country because of how it was ignored and allowed to decay.
Severe
Right,
damage,
a
man.
decade of decay. Right,
Yeah,
so
that's
we
a
have a
good
lot of
way.
building and rebuilding to do. And again, we need to see value for money. Right, when we spend $1 there, we should see what we're getting in return for that. Right, you know
Accountability of
we don't want to
funds,
see people
accountability.
trying to mitigate flooding like by the lighthouse there, installing pumps and all sorts of stuff, and the whole of South Key flooding, during a low tide, right? We don't want to see that kind of engineering design. That's a total failure. You know, Again, we don't want to see that road in Manzilla getting washed away again because of some design flaw, right? We need to see value for money, and the people are trying
We
to be no
need
longer fools.
exactly the leadership that we have right now, where you put the infrastructure in place for people to get ahead and advance themselves. You must invest in your people. We have to eliminate all this kind of bias, hypocrisy within our governmental system, and race and discrimination against religion, and there has to be respect. In that you all citizens must be treated respectfully. They must be treated as a citizen of the country. Your citizenship must be recognized with your own country. And I mean, yes, we give the PSA a big raise, and we need something from the PSA.
Yeah.
In that, the PSA employees must treat our citizens respectfully and efficiently and perform their job in that way. I mean, we have had over the years too much issues with government employees treating people, in a very arrogant manner, and so that them kind of thing. There's a customer service upgrade that has to take place with immigration, all governmental business, the police. When you seek help from the police, your information should be treated in
Confidential.
confidence. And I mean, look, recently we saw a phone disappeared and then reappeared from the evidence area of the TTPS, and I mean, that kind of nonsense cannot go without any kind of how to say being reprimanded. Somebody, there has to be consequences for that. People has to be responsible. I mean, first of all, the destruction of the trust in the TTPS was done by the TTPS themselves. They broke the trust of the public. They have to
Mm-hmm.
regain the trust of the public, and they better not play no stupid game with us. I am in no
Yes.
mood. I am in no mood, especially with the TTPS. With the TTPS, is either you're police or you're criminal. Make up your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite
We need
right.
to see some
Quite right.
accountability.
Yes, and the thing is that people, people feel like they should get away with everything. All the wrongs they do, they have a right to get
Because
away with it.
we run a country like that to allow it to happen. No, nothing put in place to hold anybody accountable. Everybody and their
From
partner and their friend and in an association.
from the time you start to punish people and hold them accountable, you see how fast this country straightens up. So we'll see how fast this country straightens up, including the legal system. Hey, found guilty of murder, clip your wings as they do in other parts of the world. Don't get away, and let it prolong for 10 and 15 years and blah. No way. Yeah, there should, the legal system should be systemized and, like serious crimes, not so serious crimes, minor crimes, traffic crimes, like these things, so that you don't clog the system up with
And you
the guy
don't
who.
make a bigger criminal of a young person, put
Correct,
them in the midst,
correct,
in a system
correct.
that cause them to be a
Yeah.
bigger criminal and more connected with bigger criminal, when you could have
So
them
they,
do a community service or deal with the issue instead of just throwing everybody in the jail like a pack of pigs.
Yeah.
yes, so
You know,
they become seasoned criminals by the time they get out of
yeah.
jail. They have graduated, you know.
So Matt, one thing the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, right? And I think it's something that we will have to reiterate also again. She wants to see performance, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. She wants to see performance from her team.
Yes.
So again, there's no room for failure here, or the way the PNM, were doing things, right?
Yeah, but
Halfway
Ken,
and no
just
accountability, and it's falling apart, and they're trying to fix the
remember,
Mosquito Creek and part of the creek collapse.
yeah,
I mean, it's like a
stick
dog trying to
it,
catch his tail there, right?
yeah,
So the Prime
stick up
Minister
in
wants to
there.
see performance.
Yeah, stick up in
What's
there.
that?
Let me just say something. She's quite right. Quite right. And his chief secretary in Tobago said it this past weekend that he's given his secretaries 9 months to ship up.
9 months, 9 months.
9 months to get on speed with your development, your plans, and so on. You have the strategic plans. Start to implement it. You have the most funds ever in your history. The biggest budget for Tobago. They got it under the Kamala Prasad government. So you can't come and say you don't have money to do this and get the ball rolling. In the case of Trinidad, she's asking the right question. I want to see performance, but the performance has to go with the plan, and the plan has to have criteria. Year one, Ken, as we were saying, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. Show me and start delivering on your plan. Tell me how you're going to achieve these things and why you did not achieve it at the end of year 1 or at the end of year 2 and so on. So these results are the outcomes of these strategic plans. And if you don't, have these deliverables met, then action should be taken. You should, one way or the other, let the PM decide to what level of performance she's comfortable with. 85%, 75%, like that, whatever. That there be criteria for each minister on their deliverables. That is what the contention is. Not rather than saying, I want performance. Well, yes, I want performance. I want performance that you deliver what you say you're going to do in year 1. That is what I want to see.
Correct. And that's where you have to set your goals, right?
That's
And
correct.
I think all these ministers should give us an update and a quarterly update.
This is the point. This
Just
is
like how
exactly
they do
the
it in
point.
corporate America. Every quarter you have to
Yeah.
report,
Correct.
right?
When you go before the board of directors, I'm the CEO. I can tell you, I'm the bridge between the management team of the company and the board of directors. I am the one conveying the message. Hey, in this quarter, I want to see what you did. Next quarter, I want to see what you did. You have to beat or surpass what you did in the first quarter. Else, something is wrong. I want to see a 10% increase in the third quarter from the second quarter, like that. So in the fourth
That's
quarter,
correct.
when I report my annual performance criteria has risen by 20 or 30%. That is what I want to see, something measurable. And hold the ministers accountable for these things. Don't go and say, well, my goal is to reduce agriculture imports by 2 million. Okay, that's great. You should say that, but tell me, how are you going to do it? Am I going to increase milk production? Am I going to increase rice production? I'm going to increase citrus production of coconut or coffee or cocoa. Tell me how you're going to do that. Then you go backwards now. Well, for these to become achievable, I have to implement 2,000 acres of citrus. And you have to identify where. Is it in Palo Is it in Moruga? Is it the Central? Where are you going? So you have to have these backward chaining things to tell me and show me how are you going to achieve your first year deliverables.
And you
Unless you are
achieving
just
nothing
going,
until you prep the infrastructure to handle things. You
That's
so
the
must
that,
point.
address the
yeah, yeah.
infrastructural issues, which is the flood mitigation, deal with the drainage issues, deal with the irrigation, water storage issues, and then we could move forward. If you don't put down the foundation, you don't fix that foundational issue,
How you going to start?
we'll
How
be
you-
talking
So,
nonsense.
so Gary, if
Correct.
you can't talk about food production, right? If you
Unless
can't
you
fix
deal
the
with the things
flooding
that you're
problem,
trying to assist them with.
because the
Exactly
farmers
the
are going to get
point.
frustrated. They're going to say,
Yes.
hey, we planting crops here to collect a subsidy because the whole thing is flooded, right? And there are losses,
And by
right? We
you
need to
dealing with those
protect and
farmers,
safeguard.
you saw how discouraged they were, and they only asking for a simple thing about deal with the flooding, and which
Yeah.
was nothing too much, and they will move forward with the food production.
And this is 100+ farmers we're dealing with here, not just 2 or 3 guys we're talking about here. They represent 100 farmers, right? So that's a serious voice that we have to listen to and we have to deliver for them. And one guy said, Ken, for 40 years, this problem has been persistent for 40 years, right? And I mean, look, we have to get serious and we need to go back there and address and do that site visit, conduct the various site
So,
visit, and start to
so
put a plan in place.
So you see,
You know,
there's a lot of coordination. I think, exactly what we mentioned early on in our little debates and sessions is that there needs to be coordination among the ministries. And that's one of the things we suggested, that rural development and infrastructure needs to be talking to one another. Agriculture needs to be speaking with them. So the three ministries need to work hand in hand. So then again, then now you can say, hey, I want to, reduce my food import bill. You tell me how, because you have lays now with the ministry. Well, the Ministry of Rural Development plans to drain so much rivers and streams and upgrade the banking and so on and what have you. And WASE's involvement in retaining ponds so water supply becomes available for doing the farming. You need to tell people what you're going to do. Just don't say blanket statements like, I want to import, $2 billion in the food import bill.
correct,
But
correct.
how are you going to do these things? The coordination. Show me that you're talking to infrastructure, you're talking to the police about trade licensee. You're talking to Kariri, getting plants, high quality plants to plant. And in the meantime,
But speaking
flood
of PDL
mitigation.
larceny, right? You see, no, I disagree how this thing is handled. You go to the regular police, you have to go and find the police assigned to that. No, the police assigned that could do the investigation, or you need to respond.
Correct.
And then pass the case to the PDL larceny team for investigation.
Yeah.
But you can have one officer there and one police vehicle, and if it working, this nonsense can. So we need the police to pick up the pace. They must patrol, whether it's farmland or not. They must patrol the jurisdiction and respond when called upon. And then you could turn the case over to the PDL and the team for investigation. But when called upon, you have to respond. You must respond.
And
Correct.
some of these things
Correct.
are bounded by archaic laws too, Gary. A lot
Yeah,
of
so
these
but
things are,
listen, when leading up to the election, and many times I've made the issue about these prehistoric colonial dinosaur kind of laws that we need to upgrade from, right? That is the objective. The Prime Minister has all intention. She's moving forward in that direction. Now I have Theo in the group here, chat saying he's concerned about the younger generation, all the degrees. And yes, we need to create. Well, we need to work in that direction, definitely. But you could have a degree and you could be a farmer. You could have a degree and whatever, mechanic, and be a very intelligent mechanic. So all these things, degree plus the skills, all works hand in hand.
absolutely. You can have a
Correct. Correct.
degree. Basically, you need to be educated in your field of activity. You could call it a degree, you could call it a technician, you could call it a layman, you call it what? But you need to have certain skill
You have
set.
a degree and is a housewife. You're a very good manager of the house.
Correct,
And,
absolutely,
and an
absolutely.
intelligent teacher and everything else that goes with it. So every education has to be open to everyone, and everyone needs the education. Everyone should follow through. Don't say you deny your child because she's a girl and what's she going to do with that? No, don't ever do that kind of nonsense. We're not going to tolerate that. Whether she married or she have 100 children, she still deserves the right to be educated. And that
Absolutely.
moving in that topic, the idea of providing the after school program, utilizing our secondary school for adult education, that is something still in the back burner that we would have to find funding eventually to do, and it's something that can help us develop as a country and a nation where you're providing the necessary structure for people to go back to school, whether they work in
No,
CPEP or when CPEP is no longer there, but if they're doing that type of work, there must be an opportunity within close range of your community. Not have to go to Timbuktu and go to work and then come back to go and study and live in a different direction. So we want to eliminate all that unnecessary transit where people can get more done.
yes, correct. I,
That is absolutely
you
correct.
know,
Right.
that has been discussions from way back when, but the Minister of Rural Development has hinted that this is going to be the new pattern that, these former CPEP and URP workers will not become permanent employees.
Right, that's what the Prime Minister say. You can't get loan with contract work or temporary work. So they're
I
trying
know
to put
that.
a better structure.
And to continue in the evening classes and so on for those who have the time to upgrade yourself, upgrade your skill set. Because the world is not changing so rapidly, things that were done like this 5 years ago, and
You see, we had
no
an
longer.
idiotic system where you a person struggling and you condemn them and you shove them
Yeah,
aside. But we
Look,
need to change that where people can go back to school. And I mean, for me, they were moving too damn fast. I couldn't keep up with the
well, the
speed.
thing is,
Yeah, right and
I
erase the board before you could finish copy everything, and then tell you the loan or don't loan them still getting paid. That was the kind of arrogance we dealt with in school.
you're right. But today's world, the fast-paced nature of technology
No,
and
see,
how.
that's the difference with the United States of America. America has this good and bad, but you could come to this country and start over, and you could get things met on your level. In fact, here in the U.S., they try to meet a child. I mean, things have advanced so much where they try to meet the child with the child at the child level and pull the child up, not condemn the child.
absolutely
Correct.
correct. Yep.
But this
That's
kind of ignorant behavior, and culture, we must work towards getting rid of that kind of thing, and then putting the right structure in place to build the nation, to invest in the people, invest in the people, investing in your country, because your people are your greatest asset to the country.
That's your
That
HR,
is
the
correct.
human capital. The human capital is the only capital you have as a government. Is a what like that's what you work with. The skills of your HR capability will determine how far you can progress as a country.
You know, and
As
Samad, once the government starts to identify certain sectors and where we could expand and grow, right? Where there's room for massive growth. For example, and I'm always going to stress this, the tourism sector, right?
yes,
Because we are blessed to be in the Caribbean, right? Beautiful beaches, lots of sunshine, uh, um, very diverse and rich in culture. People, we have a carnival, we have so much to offer, right? And that is one
yeah,
area where we could build and add some tremendous growth. But before we do anything, we need to address the crime, the out of control lawlessness in the country. I mean, look, tourists come in there, they don't want to come and see, pick up a newspaper and see 5 people get murdered and shooting and robbing and all sorts of stuff there, right? You want to go to a safe place where you can enjoy and spend your money, right, in peace and don't have to worry about being robbed and so forth.
I, and talk
So
about it
yeah,
after you leave. You know, talk about your experience to your friends after you leave here and go back to your home country.
yeah.
You know,
No,
Ken, what are you
go
talking
ahead.
about? You know, I used to be a director of tourism, you know that.
Yeah, yeah,
In,
yeah.
in Tobago, it was the best years they ever had in their lives. The best years, that record has never been matched up to this date. 20 years ago, that record of tourist arrivals into Tobago has never been matched after 20 years. And while I was there, Trinidad went through 5 directors of tourism. 5. 5 directors of tourism, and I was the one director of tourism in Tobago. How come they were changing like clothes, man? Every year they have a new director of tourism in Trinidad. Every year. Every
Yeah.
year they have a new director.
So I want to throw something here for you. I'm not familiar
Tell
too
me.
familiar with Tobago. Could we build a cruise ship terminal in Tobago?
Well, that has been a plan. I have made that
That is something I
recommendation
like to see in the airport too.
big
Because
time.
if we
Big
could build
time.
a cruise ship terminal in Tobago, right, that will be a big, massive turnaround for the tourism sector
But
there.
that has been one of our hindrances. I proposed that since 2005 that we do a cruise
Well,
Tobago
ship.
should and must have direct international connectivity, where flights
Because
and the ships, the vessels can go directly into Tobago. It says real nonsense, so they have to come to Trinidad and then go to Tobago. I totally, for me, it's totally unacceptable.
yeah. So that is
yeah,
something we got to look at,
I want that
right?
fixed, and I want that port bill in Toko, where we have that direct inter-island connection.
Mhm. Because a cruise ship bringing 4,000, 5,000 persons there, right?
yes.
When they come and they get off that cruise ship, they want to spend their money, they want to buy food, they want to buy
Because
souvenirs, right?
they only
And
have eight
experience.
hours. They only have eight
Correct.
hours to spend, you know, out on shore. So
Yeah.
you have to maximize how you can get that money, how they can make them spend that money in your island. What are the things you can do to get the money out of the tourists? Basically, that's what it is. You increase the tourist spend, and that's what you need to do as a destination. You have to
Yeah.
make sure they have their sites and attractions well taken care of, secured nicely. You know, your exhibit for carnivals and so on. That's why having a carnival center throughout the year where they can, when you go to Disney World, you see certain things like about that destination, that attraction. You go to SeaWorld and everything else. But when I land in Scarborough and I only have 8 hours to spend, I want to go take a nice beach, go to the nice beach, spend 2 hours, go and have a nice local lunch. What is the main attraction in the island? Is it the rainforest? Is it the carnival, the culinary aspect of it? Want to take a quick dive in, Boko in the reef or something like that, snorkeling. You have to do something. They want to spend money. Then
Yeah.
you
Suman,
make
if we
the
could
activity.
have, 4 or 5 cruise ship for the week coming into Tobago there.
But we have that
Man,
in season. In season, you have literally one every other day, and season runs
yeah.
from December 15th to April the 15th. So this year we're expecting 42 ships arrivals in the island. So that may change, but what it is, we suffer from a little bit of the things we speak about, the crime and what have you. But we also speak about that Trinidad and Tobago is the furthest destination south. So they go from, let's say, Fort
What?
Lauderdale or Port of Miami to Cozumel or Costa Rica and
Yeah.
Jamaica and make that spin. Some come to the Eastern Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Antigua,
St.
Barbados,
Martin.
make that
St.
spin.
Martin.
But St.
Yeah.
Martin is the one, St. John's as well, St. John's and St.
Yeah.
Martin, at any time of the year, anytime except in the extreme hurricane season, there are always 4 or 5 boats parked up there at the docking at the docks.
Mhm.
4 or 5 cruise boats every day. I'm talking about 4
So
or 5 cruise boats in St. Martin, especially.
with a turnaround in Venezuela, right? Right, and now that Venezuela is back on the map, people will want to go and visit and the country and experience and see what is there. So it would boost and this is just my opinion, the tourism sector in that region. Guyana
Yeah,
is the
but
next roaring tiger
yes,
also, and
yes, yes, yes.
there's a lot of people
But
who
the
want to
thing is,
venture. Then you know what we see also, Subad? We see a lot of these vloggers, these YouTubers. They're
mhm,
exposing the islands. They're showing
yeah.
us and the rest of the world the local experience. In
But they've been
Trinidad.
paid, most of them have been paid to do that by the tourism authorities to, do photo ops to me of the road trip to Trinidad, Maracas Beach, and this sort of thing. These are bloggers, paid bloggers who are done paid to do these things. That's a branch of social media marketing or digital marketing, as it's called. So these things are important. But what I'm
Very
saying is,
important.
for the
Very
cruise
important.
industry, to come down to Tobago is the last leg of the journey, so to speak, the most southerly of the Caribbean islands, coming to TNT. But I just laid out the 2 popular routes. The third route is the ABC countries, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, the so-called Dutch countries, and so on. So you have specific Royal Caribbean cruise lines out of Fort Lauderdale. They go, they have their markers. A couple of them have their own islands in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos and what have you. These shipping companies, so they take the guests there. So it's a whole different proposal, the way you sign your contracts with Carnival Cruise Lines or RCCL or Celebrity Cruise Lines or Disney Cruises or what have you. But Holland, America, and so on. But we have some big boats coming to Tobago, sometimes 4,500 people. The big
And we need
ones.
to see more of
And
that.
and the very big ones come and they have to turn and go back because they can't come into the berthing is restricted. So when you have the local ferry, one of them, one local ferry, one local cargo boat, one cruise boat, where is the next one going to come in and berth? There's no space. And
That's why we need to expand and upgrade the infrastructure.
several large cruise boats had to be turned away. And once you turn away one, and that creates a burden, you can't go to the big boat. They don't have berthing facilities there. We can't bring in our 6,000 big cruise liners there. Hey, you're going to have the best beach or the best diving or the best attractions or the best food. But if you don't have the berthing, how the hell are you going to get the people in?
That's correct.
Same way you want to attract airlines to fly into the island, the destination. Hey, build a big airport. But that's only part of the solution. You have to build a safer airport.
You have to build the infrastructure. You have to put the infrastructure in place, right? If you want these big ships to come in, we have to be able to have that infrastructure to facilitate those massive type of ships.
Man, you should see the massive type of ship. But what about the airport? It's the same problems at the airport. You have just a big airport, but you don't meet the international regulatory standards. Then what have you? You have to correct these things, so you have to spend good money after bad money, which should have been done in the first place. So we have all these mistakes being done. Most of these decisions are made in Trinidad. Very little or no consultation in the people on the ground in Tobago with the planners, people in charge of tourism and so on. They never had a role or a say into it. So there are a lot of these logistical issues have to work out. I don't know, the airport in Tobago is quite nice, it's big, but big is not the only criteria. That's only one aspect of it. How safe is the airport? Does it meet the international rules of air travel? So I want to, go to Air France, KLM Air France, and say, hey, you guys, I want you guys to fly into Tobago, and they will ask you certain questions. Does it meet the standard? Does it meet that standard? And they have various standards, you know. Like in engineering, they have, you know, all these EEE standards and what have you. If these things are not met, your product could be how good, you know. If it doesn't meet EEE standards, IEEE standards, they're not going to buy it.
That is
That's
correct,
why
Suman.
companies in the field like Honeywell and Schlumberger and all these companies, they meet these criteria. They know what customers are going to ask for. Similarly, when you go to market a destination, they want to make sure your facilities are in order to meet world-class international standards. Hey, is the sea
But
blue? They have the
you see,
blue trademark sign. Is it, you know, meaning that the clarity of the water turbidity and turbidity and so on meets international standards, that there's no pollution for rivers and sewer and all these things coming into the ocean. You need to have these standards. So,
also, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to look at. There's a lot of moving parts here. And right now we have something because we're trying to reduce dramatically, which is crime, right? Again, you could build the best infrastructure and bring all the cruise ship, but if people are getting robbed when they come off those cruise ships, they won't come back again, right?
absolutely,
Or they
and
will just stay in the
check.
ship. I went
Yeah.
on a cruise, and I wouldn't want to say what island we just, you know, in the Caribbean we came off at. And I just came off the ship there and I said, look, let's go back in the ship because this place is, you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
dirty.
is not appealing,
First
right?
impression, you come out with dirty,
I said, let
the
me go back in the ship and eat some
sanitation.
food and relax and, you know, and whatnot.
But you know what? All these cruise lines now are giving you discounts to remain on board. Let's say you come to Tobago with 4,000 people, only 2,000 people comes out because the happy hour starts at 10 in the morning when the boat has landed. So they encourage you now to stay on board, enjoy 50% of your meals and drinks, have some attractions for you something for you to do. So you end up staying on board rather than coming out and go and visit the island. So a lot
Right.
of cruise liners are using this method now to market to their travelers. So there are lots of moving parts, quite correctly, as you said, Ken, in all of this. And you have to be, you know, knowledgeable about it and how best you can get the people to
You-
come out of the ship.
And
That's the first thing.
that's where it requires some creativity, right? You have to be able to have that
Creativity.
foresight to see what the people want and what kind of service you want to look. A lot of in these cruise ships now there's a mixture of people. There are
Oh,
old people
yeah.
with disabilities, some people can't walk,
Yes,
they walk with a
yes,
cane.
yes, yes.
When you see a man walking a cane, you think he coming out to walk around in Tobago down in there and walk around the place? No. But if he
You
could
need to have
exit the cruise ship, yeah,
he
if
have
he could exit the
transport
cruise ship
right
and sit
there.
in a small little trolley, like what we have in Disney, that taking you around some places in Tobago, and you
Correct.
know you could jump out there for an
Absolutely.
hour, eat you know, some kind of soursop ice cream or something local, whatever it is, jump
Yeah,
back on there,
that's it.
and you do a tour, right? And you could go to the beach, and then we pick you up after an hour, 2 hours, you know, right? So we have to be a little
Correct.
creative and be able to market what we have, you know. And in order to do
Yeah,
that, we have
yeah.
to bring it up to standard. We have to be the place can't have garbage floating around all over the place and bottles and all, you know, all kind of old dog and running around the place there, right? You know, we have to clean up all of these things and make it marketable, make it presentable. People say, you know what? Because look, they're travelers and they will compare Tobago with the Bahamas or somewhere.
All
Say,
the
but this
other
place is one dirty, filthy place.
all the other destination where they have been to. They
Correct. So
compare
we
it,
have
you know.
to bring it up to standard, right? And be able to market it, and they will come.
Yes.
But yeah, we have to fix that crime. You can't have people coming to Port of Spain and getting robbed as they step out in Independence Square. You know,
And with Carnival coming up, I mean, Carnival, you know, festivities are in full swing with Panorama and Junior
Mm.
Panorama and so on starting. So there's a lot of activities happening in the island right now. So, but as you say, Ken, these are These are systems and structures that have to be put in place. You want to plan for something properly, you need to go outside and see how it's done and put yourself,
Absolutely.
go and
Absolutely.
travel around. I mean, I don't want to be boastful, but I still have to go to Germany 3 and 4 times for the year. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, Scotland, England, Wales, Austria, Netherlands. I have to go every month I'm outside traveling to market the destination. And, I go and deliver lectures and so on, meet tour operators, meet travel agencies, tell them about Tobago, all these things, Trinidad and Tobago, show them. I work with my CD and laptop and show them the sites and attractions, and people become excited. I will take a steel band player or two to go and knock some pan there and, spark the interest of people. This is what you do. You spark the interest. And this is how you do it. And, when you travel, you see things, how it's done there. And I get my own ideas and bring it back and try to implement down home. And
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm in Mount Lamb, just
one crime happens in the destination, and all your marketing efforts go through the shoots. All the good things you have gone and preached to the people about and market the destination. Somebody comes and some locals rob a tourist or commit some more serious crime against a tourist, and all fall down.
Also, Samad, they don't have to rob a tourist. Once you see these bulletins and stuff from the different embassies, hey, don't go into Port of Spain, don't go around the Savannah, don't go here, don't go there, you could get robbed, you could get kidnapped. People will get scared. They'll say, well, hold on a second. What the hell? I'm not going to go out there and get robbed.
All these advisories.
Yeah.
All these advisories it's called the advisories that the High Commissions put out.
Yeah. So again, it's bad PR for us, and it's going to affect the tourism sector. But how we can turn that around? The question is how we can turn that around. We have to continue to wage a war against crime, right? And make Trinidad safe again. So anyone who is against that effort is the enemy.
But Ken, I am not looking for any kind of mama guy from the TTPS. I'm calling out straight out, okay? We need consistency. We don't need no hypocrisy. We need to be consistent with, and we need, the government is providing the resources, and we need the TTPS to do their job, right?
Delivering, they need to deliver. Correct. They need to deliver.
And we need to watch how they manage and handle situation going forward, and address the commissioner as we see things go fit.
Absolutely.
We have to send a zero tolerance message to this kind of lackadaisical conduct from the TTPS. We have good officers, yes, but we do have those that create the problems. And we can't have one person make the team look bad. So if we have more than one, it's totally unacceptable. So
absolutely. And we need to see performance. We need to see numbers, right?
The farm I'm concerned is the deterrence, prevention, and you can only prevent if you patrol and you respond effectively.
Now, there's something specific to tourism. It's called TOP, Tourism-Oriented Policing. And I used to send 4 guys from the TTPS to go and train in Miami, spend a week in Miami Beach and see how the Miami deals with this, thousands and thousands of tourists coming into that destination. You're talking like, I think the last figure was 18,000 arrivals in Miami airport as tourists, as tourists coming into Miami Beach. And how you deal with these people is a separate type of policing that's required. Now, they did it for 2-3 days when I was there, and after that, it vanished. It just stopped. You have to know how to deal with tourists as a policeman. If you can't just go and apply this rough, tough attitude, local attitude, as you do to the locals. You can't do that. So first thing, you want to create that good image. How are you going to create a good image? The same thing goes with immigration and customs. The same damn thing happened with the taxi drivers and what have you. If you have the same local arrogant way of doing things, it's bad for the industry. And this is a whole new industry. This is people who is bringing foreign exchange to spend in your destination, and you're treating them like shit. Man, they're starting at the airport. Gary, you have their experiences in our immigration. I have had mine too. Yeah, they
I've
treat
had
you.
several experience with immigration and rude, all for no reason at all, totally nasty. I mean, and then you immigration don't ask you where you're going, and then customs asking where you're going to. I mean, that should be immigration job. Customs should be asking you about the product
But
you bring and,
any
and, and that kind of stuff.
any
Yeah.
illegal items you bring,
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
mean,
But you know,
questioning, they're seeing you're born from Trinidad and still asking you where you're going, like you come to do something wrong in the country. I mean, I born in Trinidad, my damn passport say I born in Trinidad. What the hell is your problem?
their problem is, you
Yeah,
see, and
yeah.
when
You
they
see,
treat tourists the same way. When after a man flies in from London to Tobago or Trinidad, it's 9 hours flying time. You don't know the Castelli may have to probably just meet his flight on time, or he didn't sleep the night before, and he has to put up now with an arrogant immigration or customs officer when he's already in a kind of bad,
We
agitated
work to
mood.
change government because we wanted some change and not maintain the status quo, right? And
No,
I will keep singing that we don't want the status quo. We want an upgrade. We demand an upgrade. That's why the people change government. Otherwise, they'll leave what was there.
So you see, when you have the same people at the top, you don't expect any different results. You see, you have to change these things structurally, systematically. You have to change these systems, how you're doing things, customer service, all these things. If you don't implement them and implement them fast, tourism policing, setting standards, your tourboats, your little go into the reef, and they have to have standards on these things, life jackets, that to meet certain standards in case of emergency insurance and what have you. But if you do things in a whole helter-skelter way, it's not going to happen. It's not going to develop.
yeah.
Right?
Gary,
So you cannot maximize your tourist dollars
yeah.
like
And
that.
you know, and
Yeah.
that is a very key point, Sumad. You have to be, uh, have some kind of structure, right? With how you're going to execute, right? And that involves standard operating procedures, retraining, people to deal with certain things. As you mentioned, you went to Miami, right? And you dealt with the top TOP,
Yeah.
tourism
Yeah.
orientation policing. And
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, you had a handful of officers trained, right?
Yes.
With the US Miami team.
Police, yeah, Miami-Dade
Yeah,
County, yeah.
correct. So those are the type of things that we need to expand upon, right? To better deliver a service that is beyond substandard or just average,
So
or else you're spending top in mud.
you take the same customs officers or immigration officers and take them to Dubai and so on and see. They
Yeah.
don't ask you a question there when you land in Dubai.
Yeah.
You just come, where you going, destination, Dubai, you going for holiday, you walk right through. There any illegal items? No. They're gone because they're scanning you long before you board the aircraft in your destiny, in your, where you're departing. They already scan you there and they know your profile and what have you. And with these international travelers and so on, so they know exactly this guy, he travels a lot, blah, blah, blah. He can bring a 3 bottles of scotch instead of 2 bottles of scotch. This kind of petty things, You're looking at my guy who's coming to spend millions and millions and millions of tourists spending foreign exchange in your country, and you're worrying about whether the guy has 2 bottles of rum instead of 3 bottles of rum, and you're pulling him aside and you're questioning him and irritating the guy more than anything. They don't do tourism like that. These are the biggest hindrances. So you need to take these people outside. Let us see. Let the immigration officers see how you deal with tourists. And let customs see how you deal with people.
Correct.
So
it's the level of service. We have to deliver in the level of service there. right? But
Yeah, yeah.
Gary, I
That's
sent
a
you a video
that's a
with
piece.
a friend of mine came to Trinidad there, and there was a long line almost back to
Yeah,
reaching back to the
yeah, yeah,
airplane
yeah.
there. You saw it?
I'm processing it, so I'll load it in a minute.
You know, this is
Yeah.
the kind of thing we have to eliminate, and I would like to highlight that video, right? Somad said after a man traveled 9 hours from London and connecting flights and so forth, you don't want to have to deal with this type of stuff, right? When you stand up in a line there, you're about to drop down because you haven't slept in about 12 to 18
More than that.
hours,
More
right?
than that, yeah.
I have to come to Trinidad now to deal with that kind of, inefficiency, right?
And
So it's something that we have to
arrogant.
address,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then the officer or the immigration officer is talking to you and asking you and like interrogating you. Like, what is it you're doing here? You should be happy to see these people, tourists coming to spend, their money and enjoy the island and so forth, right? So
So you see,
again, the level of service, the quality of service has to be, we have to increase that level of
yeah,
service. Not the same
that
old, right? Right now,
no
we need to get that revenue. Tourism is a big sector or area where
big
we could
time,
focus on, right?
big time,
And we could
big
really
time.
offset or bring in a lot of revenue there, right? And create a lot of employment also at the same time,
Yeah,
by just
absolutely.
showcasing our islands, our diversity, our beautiful beaches and so forth, and geography and the people,
The
and and
culture,
food and culture, right? We could create
you
a
know,
lot of employment around that tourism sector, but we
not to
have
mention
to
the
adjust all of the
diving and
moving parts.
yes, yes, there are lots of moving parts. In fact, can I just did about 2 months ago a health tourism policy, and I did one a sports tourism policy as well. These are extensions of the tourism product. I'm trying to get the discussion with somebody in authority, the minister or his advisor, but no, they're so lapsed on it that I intend to take it to one of the other islands or so
So,
and let
so
them go run with it.
Sumad, health tourism, that's a very, very important sector and a sector with potential there.
Let me tell
We
you,
have so many
I,
doctors, we have state
let
of
me tell
the art
you,
facilities, right? Why
people,
do people in
that's
the
one of
Caribbean need
the,
to go to the US when they could come and do a procedure in Trinidad?
this is one of the big money spinners for Miami-Dade County, the health tourism. Cedars Hospital, Jackson Memorial, and there's Baptist Hospital. There's three
Hmm.
hospitals are within half-mile of each other, and plus University of Miami Medical Center, the eye center, the leading eye center in the U.S. Is Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, right?
Hmm.
These hospital districts, some islands like in Costa Rica and Turks and Caicos, they have outsourced their health services to these hospitals in Miami. So if I'm a Turks and Caicos citizen, I have a problem, I fly into Miami, half an hour, I'm there, and I get medical services and I come back.
Right, but
It's
also, Sumad,
outsourced.
when you're flying there,
It,
right, you have to go and stay in a hotel, right? So the
correct?
hotel sector, is going to see
That's
some employment there, a boost in the hotel sector,
big,
right?
big
You have to
time
eat also, the restaurants around that area. So yeah, so it's not just about
trans Uber or the taxi
healthcare,
service, the
taxi
Uber, the
service,
Uber,
etc.,
and
etc. Yes. So again, we are
it,
going to see jobs created, right? Job creation, in
big,
different
big
sectors,
time, big time. But the
you know.
health tours, I laid out the groundwork from A to Z on this thing because I'm fully aware of both in practice and theory and studied it from different perspectives. Same thing with sports tourism as well. I think the government are very lax on it. They're not taking on these things as forward-thinking approaches to the product itself. So I have the plans. I wrote it with a lot of dedication and research when I was in the US. So
And
anyway,
then
that's a lot different. So
Gary,
that's a
maybe
different.
Gary had to forward that to the Prime Minister, right? And let her you know uh
Well,
delegate it to the ministers to take a look at. Because if you put in
again,
a tremendous amount of time and effort, and you've been in this business for years,
over
so
20
when you say
years.
something, I mean, people should be able to respect that, right? With some
Yes.
sort of level of credibility,
Yeah,
you know.
but I it's there. And whoever wanted, I'll give them all the data. There's no cost for all of this.
So,
Just
let
take
me
it
ask you a
and
question
implement it.
off the bat here. What kind of
Yeah,
numbers we
sure.
looking at? The potential that our healthcare tourism sector to generate every year,
Now
bills of
you
US
have to
dollars.
measure one thing before you can start that thing. You need to have you do some bits and pieces to get your feet in. Okay, let's say I have expert cancer care in the Mount Hope or in Coover Hospital. You start to market that to the rest of the Caribbean because a cousin of mine is a leading cancer specialist in the island. And his clientele stretch from Antigua, Barbados, all to the Eastern Caribbean. They go into his office, it's like people from all over the Caribbean coming to him in Port of Spain. He is like that. So if you have this kind of doctors to do operations and so on, you need to have a place for them to stay. You can equip your hospitals with certain sofa beds and so on, like they do in Miami. I don't know if you know in Mount Sinai Hospital, example. Your parent, if you're a child, your parent can stay. One parent can stay with you during the night
Yeah,
at no
yeah,
cost. You don't have to go. You don't have to go
yeah.
on. We have there's a pull-out sofa in the room, and the healing process starts is better than when the mother is with the child or parent is with somebody. Your mother is there, you are there. It's a healing process. You can help them change. Not change. You're not supposed to touch the patient, but you can help them to the bathroom and so on, personal things. But you have to understand how it's done. Well, we don't have that facilities here, but so what do you do? What is the next option? You build a hotel or motel or something like that, 2-star or 3-star, close by or next to the hospital, like in Cuba. You have so much land to expand there. You build that as a 200-room hotel, and I say 200-room because there is a cycling velodrome right next to the hospital. There's a swimming velodrome and athletic 3 sporting facilities there, right? Which are international standards. Those facilities meet international standards. So with people traveling, teams traveling, winter teams traveling for this, spring training and international competitions, and they held, your hotel will be always at 70, 80, 100% occupied.
Hotel, restaurants,
The whole works,
because
man.
again, people have to eat, right?
Transportation systems,
Transportation, taxis, all
gym,
sorts of stuff.
gym. You need to have gym and training facilities. It's a massive industry. Just that health, and you have your specialists there. You can, do your specialized operations in Trinidad and let them go. After 2-3 days, you can go to Tobago and recuperate for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a nice villa somewhere on the beach or in the mountainside in the natural environment or something like that.
But we
Okay,
have to
guys,
create
I
a
think
safe environment also for
the
these things.
video is ready to show. So
And I run the numbers on these things already, Ken. After 2 or 3 years, you break even point already.
So let us my suggestion, let us resubmit it again, and and maybe somebody going to bite.
Okay, stand by, guys. I'm going to play that video that you just sent me there, Ken. Hold on a second. Yeah, here we go.
So yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
So that was Piaco International Airport about 2 days ago, and the line was almost sneaking back to the exit for the airplane there, to where the escalators are, right?
Yeah.
Again, if I come in to Trinidad after a 9-hour flight and having to prepare and get up from my house and get a taxi and all sorts of stuff, and haven't slept for about 18 hours, and now to come and
Correct.
deal with that sort of inefficiency there, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to come back to this place,
Correct.
you know. So
Absolutely.
these are the type
So,
of these are the little things that we need to address again to increase and improve the level of service, right, across the board. And that is just one example of many, you
of
know.
many. Correct. I
So
know.
Samad, again,
When you
we
travel
have
overseas and you see the problems, Ken, I mean, if you go to Munich airport or Frankfurt airport and see the efficiencies and so on of these operations, it's just like you walk through a corridor on your own and you're there. You just breeze through these things. There's never a line to say there's backlogs of anything, or like you see, like what you was just shown.
yeah.
I mean, it's the thing is moving people. How do you move people quickly, efficiently within the system? And that is the point. I'm trying to impress upon these people that the goal is to get them out as fast as possible. You know, there are tourists. Okay, there are exemptions within. That's why you need to be trained in this thing. You need to understand what is the contribution of tourism in the national economies and see how, well, you know what, if it wasn't for tourism, I would not have a job. You have to think like that mentality. You have to get people thinking like that. You know, if
You have to treat people respectfully. You know, you have to treat them
most
respectfully
important,
and not act
that's
like you some
that's
kind of master
all.
with a whip.
That's all people ask for, you know, Gary, when they're traveling. Just treat people with respect, show
Because, I
some
mean,
sympathy.
so you want to say you don't travel and go in another country? Why are you treating people like that in the first place?
Simple, because they think they're in authority. These public servants, I'm sorry to say it, they think that they are the god in their own world. You see me, I'm the immigration. You have to clear with me first. I can mess you up as much as I want to. They have this mentality that, you know, they're in power right now. They have that power struggling with them. This custom guy, he's a head honcho. That why are you here? What are you bringing in? Like, oh, come on, give me a freaking break, man. You know, I'm coming here to help your damn economy, put some foreign exchange into your crisis country, and you.
Well, not
give
only
me
that, for us who belong to the country, we born here, we go into our own home. Either you own a home or you're going to your parents' home.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
acting like, you know,
It's
in a way that, you know, it's totally acceptable, man. You get treated like you should come to Trinidad.
no respect at all. No respect at all. And these things are big bugbears to tourism, to the tourism sector and other sectors as well. I'm sure to people into the trade and investment and so on, trying to set up businesses, and you go through the same experience. How will you feel about investing in a country like that? When you add things like crime and all this crap on top of another layer of inefficiencies, and you can't get products to clear on time in the port, your raw materials got stuck, and it's 60 days, you have to wait for materials to come. It's a whole set of logistical problems and so on. That's why you can't have trade, you know, the ease of doing business. That is what it's called. That is an index. There's an index to that. And I think under Vass and Bharat, we were able to come to quite a high level, but it has dropped down big time now. Big time. Even islands like St. Kitts and Nevis, their business turnaround is like 28 days. We're always like we had close to 114 days and all this kind of nonsense to ease of doing
but
business.
Samad, but if it's one thing, the guns and the drugs have no problem to come in, eh? You know that? Guns and drugs have no problem to get cleared.
There is duty free, there's open access.
That is the fastest thing moving through the system. And ask yourself why.
Open access, you know. So, you know, these things amaze me.
So the people who are talking, you know, and trying to prop up this informal economy, maybe they're the ones should be investigated there, right?
Yes. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. So there are lots of things needs to be done, lots of changes. But I must say one thing: all development projects, all projects with the better TNT has to be driven from the top. And unless you have
Absolutely.
ministers, advisors, and what have you, senior government officials, and thinking along the same lines, then you can accomplish things. But unless these things are not driven from the top, and you're just trying to implement these things, midway and so on, it never takes off. It never takes off. So, for example, the Minister of Trade and Investment and Tourism, he needs to be on the ball. What are the requirements for making people to come and invest in my country? First, you need to have good banking set up, good insurance set up. All these regulatory things has to be clearly explained to an investor and so on. Remember, these guys have teams and sub companies who do all this work for them. And so when they come in here to TNT and they fly in first class, they come and spend 2-3 hours with you, and you need to get your message across there. Don't tell me you have to wait $128 days to get a company to set up and do this and go through all this nonsense. I take my damn business somewhere else, man. As an investor. So we need to have these things of ease of doing business, your banking, your foreign exchange, blah, 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 your repatriation of the dollars and what have you. These things have to be clearly spelled out, and it must be, upfront. It must be like something published now.
Yeah.
So I don't have to ask these silly questions too, because other countries, you don't have to do that. But as Gary said, it's the same thing like the forms. You put your immigration form and you fill out, they have all these explanations to do, and they're not trying to improve the ease of doing business in the country. These people travel. I'm sure these ministers travel. They see how things are. Again, I always fall back on the Minister of Agriculture, just saying this, but they don't have no data to prove that, hey, I'm coordinated with this ministry, that ministry, to bring pre-deal larceny under control, to bring flooding mitigation in the process, to bring infrastructure roads and access roads and agricultural roads. Tell me how much agricultural roads you intend to make accessible for the year. And things like these things to encourage farmers who are willing to produce the damn.
Well, Suman, let me interject for a second there. So then we need to set mandates, right?
Of course.
And that will cut the BS. We need to set mandates here.
And let the ministers them have to be current with that. I need to know.
Yeah.
You tell me what the hell you really want. What we want to decrease food spending by $2 billion. Okay. Tell me what is it you want. I will tell you, okay, this and this and this and this needs to be done. Are you up for that? Is the advisor run it through your ministerial advisors and committees and what have you? But are you up for that?
Also, when is it? What date could we see $2 billion coming off the food bill, the food import bill? Is it going to be the next 5 quarters, 10 quarters?
They don't say these things, and this is what they bullshit people with. Sorry to say it
right.
like that.
So
I don't care what
that's the problem right there. We need to set mandates, right?
Outcomes,
deliverables. The next 4 quarters, this is what we're going to do, right? We picking red bean there in the next 8 quarters. We're going to have 100 acres of red beans, and we're going to cut that import of whatever it is by half, and supply the local market with locally grown red beans. Right?
Oranges, so many
carrots.
oranges.
We don't need to import carrots. We're going to cut that in half. Right?
Rice, Romney rice.
Or turnip or whatever it is.
Dairy
these things
production.
Can be grown locally.
You need to tell me how you're going to do these things, my friend. You just can't
set
say
mandates, right? We want to say, hey, we must see about 50 or 100 acres of carrots there, and we're going to cut the import by about 25%.
So that
right?
means you then to tell me what are you going to do to break down that bill by
How are you
2
going to
billion?
achieve that mandate? Tell me
Yes.
what is the plan? How are you going to achieve it?
The
And
same thing
brief
with
me as we go along every quarter.
the same thing with tourism. Okay, I want to improve tourism by 200,000 international arrivals. My data tells me that every tourist spend 2,000 US, during their stay. So 2,000 by 200,000 is you multiply that, and you get a figure. That is how much foreign exchange I will earn for this year. Okay, that is made up of so many cruise lines, so many international arrivals. And break it down further, so much from Canada, so much from US, so much from England, so much from Germany, so much from the Nordic countries, and so on. And you do like that. So you have data. So now you can see whether your markets more people are coming than you expected or less are coming. You create your appropriate strategies. You say, a lot of people are flying in from Canada. Well, let's run with another airline to, Sunwing and Air Canada and CAL and so on forth. We need a fourth airline because a lot more Canadians are coming in. So that's how you plan. Now, I give you one statistic. Immigration, that form you fill out, I, as a director of tourism, I cannot see that information because I don't have the authority. That belongs to the immigration department, and that resides in the CSO. You can only get CSO data after 2 years. So let's say I want to go and negotiate with the fourth airline to fly into my destination. I don't have the records to show. Well, I can see visually there. You know what I have to do? I have to take a person from my staff and post them in the airport and check the amount of people coming out of every UK flight. I had about 5 UK flights for the week. Check each and every single airline that brings into that. That is how I got my data. Because immigration say we cannot give you that data. That belongs to or the division under the CSO. So you can't plan. You can't do no planning. Basically, that's what it is. So that's what I'm saying. Systems and structures have to be put in place.
Correct.
So you can access data. So when I look at the data now, I can see, a lot more Canadians come. So when next day I go in Canada, I'm going to negotiate for another flight to come into the destination.
Instead of 2 flights
Within
a week,
2
we
years,
have 4 flights.
Now, instead of waiting now for 2 years to get that information from CSO, right, that immigration slip, in 2 years' time, the dynamics have changed. People no longer willing to come to your destination. They're going to St. Lucia instead, or Antigua or somewhere. So, these things have to be driven from the top. If advisors and the ministers, they're not current with what's happening, then you got to run around on things.
Yeah, but Suman, coming back to where we are currently, we have to address this crime problem, this crime spree, right? That the PNM left there over the last 10 years, that they allowed to expand, and these criminal empires and gangs. I mean, I never seen this amount of gangs in Trinidad. It's like you're somewhere in Mexico or something with these cartels and all sorts of stuff, right?
Yes.
Again, they left
And
the
it
borders
all
open.
happened right under the nose of the TTPS.
Why I say the PNM, they left the borders open. They had the Coast Guard ships parked up there, and they make excuses like we don't have diesel.
Deliberately, Ken. They were left open deliberately.
Correct. Right? Their job was to promote the informal economy. That was their job. And I say that because of how they behave over that last 10 years, right? Based on the actions. By leaving the borders deliberately open, allowing the Coast Guard ships to sit idle there, right? And be decommissioned. And the excuse was we don't have money to put the diesel in these boats. Meanwhile, the scanner in the port is broken. We can't scan these, for drugs and guns and stuff. that is the next pipeline for illicit items to flow into the country, right?
Correct.
Then we have the porous borders, So again, it was a monumental failure on behalf of the PNM for over the last 10 years. And that's what we
No.
have to now clean up.
Now, what is it now? Then we can ask.
But do you think they're
how
going to let
best
us do that easily? We disrupting their cash flow. You think they're going to let us do it easily?
Well, you're hearing all the
And-
propaganda and the spokespersons and the talking heads coming out, to defend and to make
Yes,
noise,
yes,
right?
yes.
Because
A lot
again,
of
we have-
people, a lot
Listen to
of
the
cash.
script here.
Let us not diss the SOE. By midnight, December last year, our national murder rate was brought down by 42%. That is the largest decline in our nation's history and one of the most significant drops globally in 2025. Through the relentless work of the Commissioner of Police, the TTPS, the CDS, and the Defence Force, and of course our ministers and MPs, our nation has seen a drastic decline in serious crime across the board. This means lives have been spared, citizens are beginning to feel safer in their homes, workplaces, and schools. I remember when we came, Madam Deputy Speaker, say we are going to put police officers in the schools. There were all these anonymous people, and that happens. People come out and they print things in the media and they say anonymous sources. When you ask who is this anonymous person, you can't get a name. So they were anonymous persons, but I don't know if you remember when they said.
Go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah, quite true. And I just say a lot of them wouldn't understand what is 42%. They may think it's 42 people, when in actuality it's 254 persons whose lives have been saved. So you see, people need to be sensitized, because statistics by itself doesn't say much, but quantitatively you can justify, hey, that 42% is 254 persons we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because majority of supporters who don't want to understand or learn it, what that means, they wouldn't care. It means nothing to them. But when you say 254 persons whose lives have been saved, then they will understand things a little better. So,
And in a matter of 8 months, right, the crime suppression and the strategies implemented, they delivered the
working.
results.
Yeah, but
results.
Ken, one thing is some cause, at least for me, of concern is that as the Southern Command retreats from its activities in the Southern Caribbean, unless TNT pushes now to have these porous borders closed or monitored in some efficient way, we can come back now and see an influx of these informal.
Yeah, well, command, we have to deploy those vessels that were sitting there. That we have to put it,
Well, my people, Doubles and Coffee, going out to do some banking. Look how y'all are so well protected. Rowley says guns, illegal guns are coming in, and wants to blame the.
Yeah, so those vessels that were sitting out there, we need those vessels. We need the small interceptors, and we need to patrol the perimeter of the country. You deploy the defense force. You have to put multiple strategies and resources, at the border, so you can control the flow. Go ahead.
So they need to tell me whether that's been done or that's been planned or that's already in operation, so I'll feel a little bit safer and more secure in my, my place of abode here. Because I don't know whether it's still sitting there, these 16 boats or something still sitting there, or whether half is being deployed already and they have set up posts and some drones are there which I don't know about or something. Tell me something that is happening on the ground. I mean, I saw it in the numbers, yes, 254 persons less. But now, as I say, with the Southern Command retreating or going back to their bases, the freedom now with these narco traffickers, they will get more brave now that hey,
I don't think Southern Command pulling out there anytime soon. So but we have
that's
some time. We have
That's
some
a blessing.
time to get those vessels repaired, and we don't know how much at this point, but we definitely need to see those vessels out there, our own vessels. I mean, we appreciate the U.S. presence in the waters. That's helping us greatly.
I think we should ask the U.S. for their presence to be there for a while or for their assistance with respect to these narco traffickers, because we may not have the resources to intercept these people.
But I definitely believe that we ain't going to. The U.S. is not going to put out there very soon. I think we're going to see more activity going forward with that is going to be taking place. But anyway, gentlemen, I want to wrap up by 10, and we could continue tomorrow.
Yeah. But look, at the end of the day, we have to continue to build on this success. 8 months of tremendous inroads, and I'm very optimistic we're going to get the job done. We have to work as a team, right? Look, nothing is perfect, but again, we have to continue to hold strong to the mission and the goals, and we have to continue to move Trinidad forward, make it safe again. So, Matt?
Yes, quite well. You said, Ken, achievements are exemplary in my context. I see a lot of positive things happening. We got to keep up the momentum, and I wish that we get some of our planners and advisors and so on board, that they know exactly what they're doing, that we meet international standards of doing things. We wean out some of the inefficiencies and review some of the newer systems and policies and governance of these things, so that we bring forth some more meaningful changes.
Definitely. Gary?
Yes, so guys, organize yourself for tomorrow night. We could do something if you're available. We will pick up the topic as what's taking place.
Yeah, we'll see, and we get some more guys to come on stream for different fields of, like maybe healthcare, technology, all these other various areas as well. So we cover the whole gamut of development projects and so on.
Yeah, and I will talk to my colleague, who is the Venezuelan activist. I would like to get her view also and perspective on.
Nice. And if you can get on the veil, you could probably give us a little deeper insight on Dr. Murad with respect to this BS talk about how TNT will suffer and the rest of the Caribbean will suffer because of the fallout of the U.S. activity in Venezuela. That pack of nonsense which is published. They may have different views and so on.
Zero facts and data.
Let's say, with no facts and data. So let's get these guys to get different opinions.
The illegal contraband trade is what has affected. That's been affected. Because
apparently that is what. Yes, correct. And that's what he didn't want to say about his previous friends in the PNM regime at that time. So we all know what went on. And why things are the way it is.
Well, like I always said, my involvement is to clean house. That is my objective, and that's what I want to see. And I ain't letting that go easy. But so I want to thank everyone for joining us. Nadira, Theo, the whole team there. Thank you very much for taking your time to join us.
Yes.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Good night, everyone. Samat, Gary, and all the listening audience. Good night.
Take care and same to you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Soca in the morning, masqueraders calling. We dance until the sunrise. It's bacchanal, we enjoy it.
When she whine, I follow. Go down and then take it slow from Trinidad to Tobago. We jamming all on the stage show.
I'm lost in Trinbago. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na. Oh na na. I'm lost in Trinbago. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na. Oh na na. I'm lost in Trinbago.
Why Shaquille not answering me? Shaquille, where my radio? You have my radio?
Yes, Granny. Oh,
Shaquille, what are you doing with my radio? You know on a Sunday I like to listen to me back in times and me retro and me Michael. Shaquille, not frustrate me, eh? Just bring up my radio.
Oh God, Granny. Give me 2 minutes now. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to Savannah.
Shaquille, Michael Jackson is about to come on. You are keeping me back. Bring back my radio.
All right, I'm coming. Give me 2 minutes, I'm coming.
Very good.
Hey yo, this is Machel Montano, and you know they say better late than never. So I'm officially and finally on TikTok. So follow me at Machel Montano. Brand new music coming just now. You heard? Check Unks out.
I don't really care at this point who you voted for. I don't care. The election gone. You will get a time 4 years from now to vote for me or somebody else. But I don't care who you voted for. Between now and the next election, our job is to execute. Between now and the next election, Tobago is we. And that includes you too, even if you didn't vote for me. And it's about how you deliver on those things. I also want to be clear that where we have contracted officers who are not doing their jobs, I am going to say to secretaries, do not approve any renewal of contract. And if you want, carry to court. We have a whole division now to deal with legal issues. So carry to court.
Nobody lives there.